Hey everyone, welcome back to Indicted TV. I'm your host Negra. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. Before we start, you already know I gotta give a shout out to my sponsors, Royalty Honey. Keep it hard, guys. Also for the best jewelry for his glory. Best Chinese food, Mr. Yu's in Montclair. Also on today's episode, we have Problem the Goon.
What's the deal? What's going on?
Welcome to Indicted TV. Again.
Thank you for having me.
No, I'm glad that we're back and we're sitting here. And it's a new year.
Yeah.
You're the first one to sit here with the new backdrop.
It's looking nice, yeah.
It looks cute, right? It looks cute.
I like this one right here. It's the best one. That one's nice. I like it.
Yeah, I like that one. That's why you put it right there because the guys are normally sitting right there, you know, so the soldiers, the warriors.
Yeah. The Jaguar Knights.
Okay, so let's start. So tell me, tell us where you're from, where you grew up, you know, your mom, your dad. How was the inside of your house growing up?
Well, I'm from the city of Bassett, California, as well as my neighborhood is where I'm from, Bassett. It's a city in the San Gabriel Valley, in LA County, of course. But as growing up, like, I didn't have my dad around, or like my mom was like, you know, she was like in and out of everything, not really there.
Really in and out of your life.
Yeah, like,
okay.
You know, she was around, but I mean, like, if you consider that around, I don't think she was around.
Like a stable mom, basically.
Yeah. Pretty much. So
you were raised by who?
My grandma,
okay.
My grandma and my great grandma, because they both lived. We all lived in the same house. That was my great grandma. It was one that really I was with all the time. My great grandma was with who I was with. We lived on Ahern back then. We used to live here. That was the old house. It got sold now, but yeah, Ahern.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have my sister, my little sister, my two little brothers, and then my other sister is a little baby sister. She's like probably like 6 right now.
Oh wow, you have a baby.
Yeah, I think she's 6. I don't know. She's like older, like 6, 7 years old.
So you're big brother.
Yeah, I'm the big brother because I have another little brother. He's only a couple days apart from me, but we have different moms. And then I have another sister too.
By your dad?
By my dad, but just different moms, you know?
Yeah. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So you were raised by your grandma. Your mom was in and out of your life, but not really. You do have lots of brothers and sisters because you do. And you know them. So that says that, you know, everybody was kind of in your life, one form or another. At what age did you see yourself already kind of changing, like getting into trouble?
I think like around... I mean, honestly, I feel like I was always... I mean, when I was in second grade is when like first grade and kindergarten, I wasn't really getting in trouble. I was usually like doing good in class, you know?
You're in kindergarten,
They used to say I was like a mathematician in first grade when I was like real good. And then second grade came and I seen my dad for the first time. And then, cause he had got out of prison. That's the time he got out of prison. So I got to see him. My uncle from my neighborhood brought him to go see me for the first time. My uncle took me. My uncle used to walk because we lived down the street from the school. Right there in Van Wig, right there in Bassett, and he would walk down and pick me up, and then he told me like, "Hey, your dad's right here," you know. So I remember we walked up to him, and I seen him, and then like literally right after that, like I was kicking it with my cousins more, and like at second grade, we were already like trying to say like we're from Baby Bassett, we would throw bees, doing all that and stuff like that. So it just got to like that point where like me and my cousins were already like doing fake little jump ins in the back of like Van Wig. There was like a yard. And there was this big ass tree, and
so you were like 8 years old at this time because 6, you're in about to go to you're in kindergarten, about to go to first grade.
And then, but I ended up getting held back that time because that's when I started getting into fights. I was always getting into fights, and you started
seeing the difference. Your grandma probably saw the difference. Like, oh no, this.
I mean, she would always say like, oh, I didn't do like, you know, like I couldn't do nothing. Like if I do, I could be getting trouble, and she would be like, come here, mijo, like, you know, and I'll be like, oh shit, you know. But yeah, like. My great grandma, but my other grandma was kind of like hearing, like she was like, oh, like, you know, like mad, but she would never. I love both my grandmas. They like, you know, they were always there, so they never like, you know, like yelled at me or nothing like that for like doing anything. I mean, they would, but not like that.
It wasn't
like
crazy, yeah.
Yeah. And then
so you basically didn't have a lot of discipline in your life. Basically, let you do whatever you wanted to do. To an extent.
To an extent, yeah, to an extent. Like, I would always go out, but like when the lights came on,
it's time.
I'll go back inside,
Okay.
you know? Like I
a normal
would always,
boy.
Yeah, like a normal kid. Like every time I'll be playing outside. Sometimes I would try to stay later or whatever, because like on my block on Ahern and Feather, like there was different blocks. I would go hang out with the kids over there and shit like that. And like that's when we started like playing with like BB guns and acting like we were robbing and doing stuff.
No.
Yeah, we were doing stuff like that. And then it got to like the pellet guns, like, you know, like still in second grade. And we would like do like fake shootouts and some of us would get hit with pellet guns and shit. But yeah, that was like the time I was like messing up, like it
But
was
you started changing. You started changing.
I started changing. Yeah, because I first grade and kindergarten, I was chilling.
You're a baby.
Yeah.
At second grade, you're still a baby.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, you know, I don't know how old, I don't know if you have kids. I think you do have kids, right?
Yeah, I have my son, yeah.
And if he's at, you know, in the 6 years old, like, or in the second grade, they're still 6, 7 years old. Like, boy, you better not be playing with no damn pellet BB guns.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's like, you really did start changing drastically. And then that said, like, oh no, like this guy is going to be out of control.
Yeah.
Once he gets to a certain age.
And I think too, part of it too, because like when my mom would get mad, like my grandma would like go get me, like I'll go to her room, you know, I go to her room, I'm like, yeah, I'm in here, you can't get me type
so
shit.
Mom knew you were.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Even though regardless she was in your eyes or not.
Yeah, she knew. Yeah, she knew.
Like, oh my goodness, like this guy is going to be bad if he's already playing like that.
Yeah, and then it got to the point where I was missing school a lot. Like I was getting suspended for fights, and I was missing school, so they held me back. And I remember I was like pissed off when I got held back, because I was like messing up to like, I was just messing up, and I was pissed off because like the other kids would like make fun of me, like, oh yeah, you're dumb, that's why you got held back.
Uh-huh.
So I would get in more fights, and then it was like I'm getting in fights with kids my grade in the classrooms and stuff, but like they're smaller than me because I'm older, so like, but at the time I didn't know, you know, like I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just like, I was getting always like talked to, so I just started like taking out on people, like kind of, I think that's what
understandable.
It was.
It's definitely understandable.
Yeah.
And you're always like a big boy. Like, I mean, big boy.
I wasn't
tall.
always big,
you never
though.
tall?
I was not. I barely got tall. Like maybe like, well, I mean, yeah, probably not.
This was like, I really got tall 2 years ago.
No. I got tall like probably like around like fifth grade is when I started getting real big. That's when I got
out.
Yeah, I started getting fat and shit, but yeah, that was like around that time. But and then it just growing up after like second grade, it was kind of like just repetitive, always getting suspended. I got kicked out. So then from there I went to Sunkiss Elementary, but the Sunkiss Elementary kids were like different from Van Wig, because I grew up everybody right there that goes to Van Wig. So when I went to Sunkiss, it was like a different batch of kids, and I was getting in way more fights there. Like I was getting in fights all the time, and then I got kicked out of Sunkiss, and then from Sunkiss they took me to was it Van Wig, Sunkiss, and then Don Julian, and from Don Julian I didn't even last there either. Like I was messing up, like just getting in trouble. Went to Edgewood. Then they had a big board meeting with all the principals from each school, from Don Julian, Van Wig, I remember, and they were like doing a contract.
And this is still in elementary?
This is like already going to like third grade, yeah.
Okay.
Like almost third grade.
Wow, that's a lot for you to be going through at such a young age.
Yeah, because that's when my mom had her new boyfriend. And after when she had her new boyfriend, we moved to another spot, and still in my neighborhood, but like on a different street. And then that's where I started growing up. But like around third grade, we had to do a board meeting with all the principals, and pretty much they were gonna pick a principal that was gonna keep me. Like, and if I messed up one more time, I'm getting kicked out the district. So my mom was already like, you know, she was right there, but she was kind of like coming back around that time. Like around that time is when she, you know, because she got out of the feds. And she came back around, and like she had her boyfriend, so her boyfriend was like keeping her straight. And then it was just a lot was going on at the time.
And then you're so small, you're not stable, you're like all over the place. You know, you're trying to figure yourself out. You're lost. You're like lost. You know, you're a baby still. So what happens? Your mom. You're like. So what happens? Did you end up going to junior high? Like, or no?
No, well, pretty much I after I got picked to get to another elementary, Van Wig, I stayed. Pretty much I got kicked out, and then from when I hit sixth grade, I went to Torch Middle School in my neighborhood, and that too, like right then and there, like I was 12, but I was in sixth grade, you know, and I was already like bigger, and then I was already like kicking it with homies and doing all that. I wasn't even home. I was like always just, you know, just I was already smoking weed and getting high and stuff like that. I was already messing up. I was already running out late at night, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, like just running around with the homies doing, the bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's when it started getting to, like, I was getting in a gang of fights, and then it just got to where, like, they gave me 5 period day. So then I was leave, and they would make sure I wouldn't stay in the school because I would fight. Or I'd get into trouble with the teachers, talking shit to the teachers, doing all that shit. And I still don't know why I was doing all that, though. I really don't. But, I mean, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with me. I don't know if I was just, like, always pissed off, angry as fuck. Like, I always wanted to start some shit, And then that's around the time my uncle got killed. So it was, like, kind of like, that's the time I was, like, really, like, like...
Do you feel it's because you feel like your mom wasn't there for you when you were, like, at a super young age?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out, like, why today I'm still kind of, like, I hold something against my mom and my dad, Because they both talk to me now. But, like, I don't know. I always been kind of just, like, angry as like, I don't know.
Let me ask you something right now that you just said that. How would you feel? Do you want your son to feel that way with you?
Nah, hell no. That's why what I'm doing now is, like... totally different from what they were doing, like, and I started good because I started at when he's only 3, so like, like if I would have just waited, like, how long, he'd probably be sad to say it, but probably be like something like me,
Yeah, like if you go back right now, that would definitely destroy him, and he's gonna be mad.
Yeah,
because he's gonna remember at 3, 4, 5 years old that his dad kept leaving.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
That's something to put in your head so that you don't want him to be an angry boy like yourself.
Yeah.
So tell me, we're going to switch it up.
I'm like, they're getting deep right now.
But deep is good. Deep, we need deep.
Yeah,
deep is how you work on yourself. And it's okay to feel. All these feelings we're supposed to feel. I feel like my son is you. I was in and out of my son's life, and he's angry as too. But maybe he's not as angry as you because he doesn't fight.
Yeah.
but you get what I'm saying? Like, we all feel things different, and it's okay to feel those emotions. Don't ever not allow yourself to feel those emotions because it's good.
Yeah.
He's like, no, not good. but it is good. It is good. It helps you reach into yourself. Like when you walk out of this room, and you probably sit in the car, and you're like, you know what? Whatever the heck I think I'm doing, that I think I'm doing right, but maybe I'm not. Then I might be doing something that's going to probably send me back. So whatever you know in your head.
No, I know.
You know what it is, You are the only one that's able to fix you and that little part to not hurt your son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when did you go to juvenile hall for the first time?
Also, then I was 12 when I went to juvenile hall for the first time. It was for bush vandalism, and I went in. And at that time, though, like I was nervous, because like I mean, I used to hear crazy when I was little. I remember I shot my neighbor with a pellet gun, right? And when I shot him with a pellet gun, they called the cops. So they came to the pad, and my uncle was, right there, and my uncle was like, "Oh, the cops are here looking for you too." So I'm like, like, "Oh, whatever," Then they started telling me, "We're gonna take you to jail." So I remember I was like, "I don't want to go to jail," because I seen movies and like that. So I'm just like, well, I don't want to, but I mean, it wasn't really like that. It was kind of like that, like being in, like, it wasn't like the movies, obviously, like, there wasn't no like freaky stuff going on, but
I know what you say.
Nah, like it was just like, but it was just, wasn't there for that long anyways though. So when I went back is when I went back longer, but this is when I had got busted out there, like towards like the IE. So I had went to Gilbert Street out there. And from LP from Gilbert Street is way like, because... Tell
me the difference between... Okay, well, tell me about the first time when you went... They took you in for shooting your neighbor.
No, they took me in for vandalism.
Oh, the vandalism.
But that's when I was like scared to go to jail, because I remember if they were hearing about it, and I was like, I don't want to go to jail, So when I went to the vandalism, obviously I went to jail, and obviously, like my grandma had to pull up, and my mom, whatever.
Oh, so they brought you out.
Yeah, I was going to be straight. But when I went back to the Gilbert Street, that's when I actually went in. And I didn't want to give them nobody's number to pick me up at the time. So they were just like, oh, well, they're going to keep me in here. Because I could have just called and they would have just took me out again. So I'm there. And because I'm not from out there, like those fools, like I remember when I went to unit was it? I think it was like one boy or some shit. It was some, but I went to one boy, and it's like the orientation. It's like their orientation to go in, find out where you're gonna go.
Yeah.
So I was there, and then a lot of these fools are, like we're not coming out that much. Whatever, fools are banging on each other. Whatever. Like it's not like that crazy though. So when I moved, they moved me to I think it was 3 Adam, and I remember when I was walking over there, the little PCO was like, "Oh, you're going to 3 Adam?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, they call it 3 Active," and I'm like, "3 Active? Like why?" He's like, "Cause it's active as right?" So I'm like, "Okay, like like whatever."
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, like So I go in, and right there they pull us up. And they have us like face the little showers, and we're standing right there, and everybody's right there. They're banging on the fucking doors, they're banging whatever. And boom, I go into the cell, and I go into this cell with this fool, and he was from my rival neighborhood. And we end up getting down in the cell right away. We start getting down, whatever. We start getting down, and after that, they come in, they take us out. They put me on WGP or whatever. So at that time, I'm, like people are not really going to
WGP?
Withdraw from group program. Yeah, so I'm on 24 hours because my first fight or whatever. So I'm just like, whatever. So they put us in a different cell. And then fucking, when I come out, these fools, these fools from the IE and shit, neighborhoods from the IE, whatever. Yeah, they bang on me and whatever. And they were like, oh, like, LA, like, and I was like, what? Like, what the? And they just cracked me. Boom. So every time I would come out, they were just like on some like guys, So like fools from out there, like neighborhoods out there would always like, right when we come out, we would come out, get on our like, put our knees up, and we would sit down and then we'd put on our shoes,
Yeah.
And right when we would get up, boom, like they're already packing me out.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so then I remember the dude that was from my rival neighborhood, he would always be getting packed out. So it got to a point where I was just like, man, like,
let's just be cool.
Nah, we weren't being cool still, but we weren't being cool still, but it was just like we were talking to each other from the same, because we were in the door next to each other, right? And we would stay up and talk to the PCO at night. And she would always be cool with us, and she would give us stuff and shit. And anyways, like, we were like, oh, we're both gonna get off the same time, like fool, like let's not worry about us, like let's, so I'm
worry
like,
about those fools, yeah.
in my head I was, I'm all that, like, like type shit. And so whatever, we come, they move us ourselves. I moved to cell 7, he moves in 8. So then when we come out right away, I didn't even like wait, I just went, I started getting taken off on them. But then they all got up, all these fools get up, and they started, even the blacks, they were like getting up and started packing us out. That was like the time I got beat up bad, like I got, yeah.
And you were how old?
This time I was like 15, I think. I was like, yeah, like 15, 14 around there. I think I was like 14, 15. And after that, that's when, so whatever, after they move us to four boy. And 4 boy, they have like the older kids, like fools that are like 17, like 18 that are trying to go to like, wherever they got to go. So I remember when I went over there, those fools were even more like ruthless, they were like, no. Yeah, so I didn't even get the chance because I remember they had like the porter,
Yeah.
And he would come around and whatever. When I went in, he was already coming around. He was from he was from a black neighborhood. And I remember he sees me and he looks at me like, "Where you from?" And I bang on him. He's like, "What's that?" Like, And I'm like, "Oh, in San Gabriel Valley." He's like, "What the fuck?" Like, he's like, "What the fuck is San Gabriel Valley?" And I'm like,
bro, people act like it's like super far. Like we're still all here.
Yeah, So then he was like, "Oh, is that LA or what?" And I still have my cuffs on. I have my cuffs. And I'm standing facing the shower.
Oh,
So I'm waiting for them to uncuff me and then put me in wherever I gotta go. And that fool's like, "You from LA?" And I was like, it's LA County. I mean, I told him, I was like, it's not LA, but it's next to LA.
Damn, ranking it?
Nah, I was like, it's next, because I mean, I'm not from LA though, like I'm from San Gabriel Valley, it's LA County, whatever. But
bro, don't quote unquote to me, I'm from LA.
Yeah, I know, I'm not, nothing against people from LA, like, but I'm just saying, like,
no, yeah, I'm talking shit. I'm giving you, I'm loosening you up.
I know. Yeah, so after he takes off on me because he takes off on me still. And I'm cuffed, so he's fucking me up and they spray me, whatever they spray us and whatever. So they put me in the cell and they're like, "We're just gonna move you to 4 Adam." So I'm like, all right, but 4 Adam, they were kind of like, it was way different. Like those fools had like staying there for a long time. Like they're already gonna stay there, but they were like, they had nowhere else to put me, so they were like, "We're just gonna put you right there." So I was like, all right, like what the. So after that, I was like, fuck, like, because I wasn't calling out to nobody. I wasn't trying to use the phone. I didn't even get a chance to use the phone. And I wanted to. And I at the time, I wasn't really, like, I don't want to write a letter. Like, I don't want to write a letter. I just didn't want to. I remember I was like, nah, I'm cool. And then, but luckily, I remember,
boy.
Yeah, but I remember after my dad's ex-wife came to visit me.
Oh, so they looked for you.
I guess what happened was like she got a hold of my mom, and my mom gave her like the permission through because she couldn't visit me unless she got permission. Mm-hmm. So I guess my mom been knowing I was there, but I was like type shit.
Like this fool doesn't want to come.
Yeah, you know. So then she came, and I remember when they told me how to visit, I was like, what the fuck? They're like, oh, because I was already in A, so I wasn't on WPG no more. So I remember like, boom, I go to my visit, everything's cool, we're chopping it up, and she starts telling me like, oh, like you need to do good, like your dad's in prison right now, like we'll do it, like he wants you to do good. So I'm like, all right, but in my head I'm like, how's this fool gonna tell me he wants me to do good, but he's in prison? Like, what? That makes no sense. Like,
it does, because he just wants the best for you.
Well, now I know that. Like, that's something I would tell my son if I was in jail, and I tell a lot of other people too. Like when people tell me stuff like that, like if it comes from somebody in jail, because they don't want you to be in their shoes type shit. So then after whatever, I come back, and it got to the point where like I was like, that time I was like going through so much because a lot was going on in that juvenile hall too. So I was going through like
stuff like what? Like with the adults and the kids? Yeah,
like those fools that, like I was going through a lot of shit with that. So I remember like I would like punch fucking walls in my cell, and like I would like till like I was bleeding. Like I still have scars to today where I would just do that, and I would just so they could put me in the holding, because they would do that and they'll put me in the holding and they'll leave me right there. They're like for days. And I was always cool with this dude that was right there. His name was like Lewis or something. He used to bring me food and it'd be all cool. I don't know if you were there. Hopefully you don't get fired for that, but he'd bring me food, outside food and shit, do all that shit. And so I would like purposely like try to start, they would call it like, I forgot what they would call it. It was like a certain code or some shit and whatever. So after so I was always there, and it got like I was like going through gang shit because they started having seen me. They wanted to do like a psych evaluation on me because I was continuously doing it. Then I started beating, like every time I get a Sally, like I'll beat him up. So it was just like they were like, what the fuck? I wouldn't go to school. I couldn't go to school because I was always fighting. Like right when I go to school, I'm fighting. I couldn't do shit, and I was getting pissed because I couldn't like. There would be times like they're from IE, so they'll be pulling out. They'll have like a day called I forgot. It was like a day where they do like the privileged foods that are good, they're not fucking up. They get to do shit. They do like barbecues, pull out the Xbox for them, Xbox 360, and they would put it right in front of my cell. So these fools would be playing, and I'll be like pissed off, and they'll try to like shove that shit in my face type shit, like oh yeah,
but it wasn't even your fault that you were fighting.
No, I mean, well, I had no choice. Like they were gonna fight me regardless, and. But like these fools were like purposely like just doing that shit. So it got to the point where I figured out if a code happened, they wouldn't be able to play. So like they would have to lock them down. So if I was making a scene in my cell, they would lock everybody down. So what I started doing, that's when it got real bad though, because then they were like
worried about you.
Every time they wanted to flight me, like they wanted to flight me because their barbecue too. They had a barbecue like cheeseburgers and stuff like that, and I purposely was banging on the door, and I covered up my shit with soap and water, and I started doing that. So they had to like take everybody in their cell, and then I wouldn't come out until they sprayed. So then like it was just their whole shit.
Those fools were pissed at you.
And all those dudes were there for long times. Like I ran into one in prison after. I hadn't run into a lot of them, like in. We're just laughing about that shit. Like, damn, fool, remember when you used to cause like, it was a cold, I forgot, but like, remember when you used to cause that shit? And they'll fuck us all down. We had to pull the Xbox away and shit, and the ice cream and the juice, because they'll bring like a tub of ice cream and all type of shit. And
well, babe, if you can't have it, nobody can. Hater ass fool.
Nah, I wasn't being a hater. I mean, because these.
But I get it. They were doing things maliciously to you.
Yeah, like what the.
I understand. I'm just talking poop.
Oh yeah,
but for sure we probably done the same thing. Like, F you fools.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna get shit if I can't get it just because you fools want to be asses.
Yeah.
We breaking these walls. Nah.
That's what I would do. I would just kick the door. I'll kick the door all night, like even to piss people off. Like when I was having a bad day.
Oh man.
I would just kick the door or banging on the door all night, and they'll be, like I used to. Man, and
that was terrible.
Now that I think about it, because after going to like county jail and stuff like that, and the pen, like
you can't.
Yeah, you can't do shit like that. You can't bang on no door, like, but I was just at the time there was no fucking
like, send
rules.
this fool to Mexico.
I was just pissed off. I wasn't, like no shit like that. Oh, you're crazy. No, not like that.
No, but you're a kid, bro. You're
Yeah, I was
talking
a kid.
different. Obviously, you just realized that you just said it. Like, you can't pull no stunts like that when you're in in the county jail or you're in prison. It's definitely different behaviors and there's different things. Like, not saying that, you know what I'm saying? Like, for sure, you just know that, man, you're a kid. No, we're gonna do this because I can't get this shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you fools. You know?
Yeah. So then, and whatever. So after from there, my mom, she ended up, they ended up moving to like Chino, like Ontario, whatever. So like sometimes I would like, after I had got off from there, I would sometimes go over there to like, like I would go over there just to like try to see if I could shower or whatever. Cause I was just running around. I was on drugs, so like.
So you started using.
Well, I was already using though. Like before that, I was already using before that too. Like the first time I tried coke, I was like 11. That was like one of the first hard drugs I did when I was like 11. I was like, no, I think I was younger than that. I think 11 when I started smoking weed. I think I was like 9 or 10 or something. My neighbor gave me some coke to do. Pulled it out of a pen, pulled it out of the thing out of the pen, and started doing lines. I remember I did one line. I remember. But,
that's pretty intense, huh? At such a young age.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember it was funny because it wasn't funny because I was like, what the dude was thinking, he's way older than me. I talk to him today still, but like.
That was still doing bad?
Nah, he just got out of prison though. He just got out, but he looks like he's doing good though,
Okay,
but,
well, good for him. Hopefully he stays good.
Yeah, but he's the one that gave me that. And I remember after whatever, like I was getting high, so I was like doing bad, I was doing bad, and like all of us were doing it. Like everybody that was kicking it, we're all doing it. So it was like
so you were doing meth.
Yeah, I was doing meth. Yeah, and it was like to the point where it was like
nobody wanted you around, kind of thing.
Yeah, like because my sister would try to invite me to like her birthday party and then shit like that, but I was too busy. Like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna just try to take a shower and then bounce, and get some clothes and bounce. So like that's the type of shit I was doing. And then I would go back, and then like it was just getting bad where like people were even calling my mom and like telling my dad like, hey, this fool's doing shit like this, and he ran up on this person, do this, that, and like they're hearing about it, and they were just like, what the so
yeah.
And then my grandma wasn't like, all my family, like my mom's side, because my uncle got like killed by people from my neighborhood, so that right there, like kind of like they were like, what are you doing? So
you had problems like that as well.
Yeah, so they were like, I don't know if they hate me for it, but like they probably like, especially I got this shit on my face and my grandma sees it, shit like that. So I know it bothers them. But I'm gonna probably take it off. I don't know yet. I still don't know. But I'm in the process of doing this to the side. So I don't know yet. But
it's still who you are.
Yeah, that's why if
you remove them, like you're still from where you're from. It's. But basically, you're saying that like you didn't know if your grandma or your family didn't want you around because it would bring them probably bad memories. Like this fool wants to hang out with these fools, even though they took my son out. So it probably is hard. It was hard on them, and then seeing you all messed up on drugs, like oh man, like this thing is like literally ruining. Obviously. Gangs just ruins lives, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I'm sure that would make your grandma still alive.
No, my great grandma, no, she passed away, but my grandma did. And I feel bad because I was supposed to graduate she wanted me, I remember she would tell me like, as she got older, my great grandma would be like, oh, I'm gonna just wait till you graduate, mijo, and that's when I'll go, And I never got to,
But you could still make them proud, like you just gotta do the right thing. You know what the right thing is.
Yeah.
You know in your heart what the right thing is. So you could still make them proud. They still watch us.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
They're there.
No, I ended up getting my GED though, but
oh, she just wasn't there.
Yeah.
I get it.
So,
you did graduate.
Well, GED, I guess. I want a diploma, but
you're still graduating. You still got your GED. Grandma knows.
Yeah, she knows for sure.
Grandma knows.
Yeah,
Grandma knows.
She knows for sure. But what was I gonna say now? So I remember like around that time, like I was doing a lot of drugs, whatnot, and I started like just it got to the point where I started like slamming, you know? And when I started slamming, that's when it was just like, I don't remember a lot from that time when I was slamming, because there'd be times I was slamming, I don't remember the whole day. Like I would just be, and then I remember like I haven't ate for like, I swear, like sometimes I felt like I didn't eat for like 3 weeks, where I was just going so hard.
It was probably like 3 days.
Yeah, it was probably like 3 days, but I was just so freaking like, you know, because there'd be times I would try to eat and I just couldn't. Like food was just nasty to me. Like every time I did that, it would be nasty to me. And then like that time, I remember like the drugs weren't like giving me like, it wasn't making me paranoid or like nothing like that. It was more of just like I was just always wanting to do something.
You just needed to function.
Yeah. So then I remember that's when like doing that was how I got stabbed. I ended up getting stabbed at that time. And that was because like I was out there in another city in another neighborhood close by, and I was walking, you know, thinking, you know, whatever.
You're unstoppable.
Like, yeah, and I remember I had this little Dodger bat on me. It was like a little Dodger bat. And I'm walking, and sure enough, there's some food, you know, whatever. So there was some hyenas. So I remember the hyenas looking at me like, oh, like, what are you doing around here? Like, I'm like, what? Like, they're like, oh, where you from? And I told them, you know, they're like, oh, you're not supposed to be over here. I'm like, man. So, and it was behind a Walmart, I remember, so I'm walking, whatever, and then boom, some fool's right there, and I'm thinking like, yo, I'm gonna run up on this fool. Sure enough, I run up on him, and he tells me, and I swing, boom, I hit him on the head, it breaks on his head, and right away he just hits me, boom. Ooh. Stabs me in my arm, and I keep going, but I didn't feel it. Then he stabbed me in my back and then in my head, and once that's when I was like, oh shit. So I remember I got into the street, he dipped off running, so I got into the street, and then boom, I'm like, what the like, oh shit. And everybody's like off their car and shit. I'm just like, what the? And then that's when I started like, oh shit, like I was in pain, you know?
Because you got hit in the head.
Yeah, that's when I started feeling the pain, and I was like on the floor. And then I don't know if I was like I don't know what was going on. Like, I don't know if I was like, I don't know what was going on. I was just kind of like, what the going on, you know?
You're like...
Nah, I seen everybody, but like I just don't remember. Like I was just like, oh shit, like what the on, you know? Like I was kind of like stripping, like, you know. So then they took me to a USC, what was it? USC trauma center. I think it was USC. I remember there was the doctor was stitching up the one on my arm, right? And he was like on a video on his phone, and he was another dude, I guess. And they didn't even clean me up. Like, they didn't clean the blood off me. Like, they just left me. Like, they discharged me or whatever after, you know.
Did he fix the one in your head?
Yeah, they fixed everything. Like, they did everything. But, like, they were just, like, kind of like, I had blood. Like, I was still, had dry blood, like, everywhere. Like, I was covered in blood still. Like they just, like, finished. I got discharged, and, like, it was cool.
Like nothing.
Yeah, like, it was cool. And I was like, what the, like, I was tripping out. So,
well,
my homie picked me up.
They probably see a lot then.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, yeah. Well, yeah, because they're doing shit like that. Well, I don't know, because this fool was like on his phone trying to do a stitching, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is this fool doing? Like, I was tripping out, but when my homies they got there, whatever, they're chilling for a little bit, then I got discharged. When I got discharged, I remember when I got discharged, like, that's when I was like, really, like, I was starting to kick it, like, way more, and I was like really trying to like, I was just like, I had like, I don't know, because I think it was like more of like when I was getting in trouble, and like I would always hear shit from my family, you know?
Yeah.
And when I would get in trouble or get in fights, like, you know, everybody, like the homies and shit like that would be like, oh, that's right, fool. Like, you know, with you. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, man, I feel good, like getting down with fools and doing this. And might as well, like, why am I going to go be around my family if they're just going to like talk shit for whatever the I'm doing, you know?
Yeah.
It was just like on that. I mean, I think that's what really caused me to like really start like getting involved. I think was because of that. Like I was like kind of like looking for the negative attention, like the attention for negative things. I was getting attention for negative things, the good attention that I wanted, like the pat on the back, like that's right type shit. And I was like trying to like talk to certain homies to like, you know, like be cool with or whatever. Yeah. And then it's just like obviously it went nowhere for me because I got deeper into drugs where I started doing heroin and shit. So you were using meth and heroin at the same time? Yeah, I would sometimes like I'll mix it or whatever. I forgot what the homie used to call it, but we would mix it and we would fucking do it like that, and it would give me like on an up and down type shit, you know. And
Wow.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, and it was like I was already like 17, so I was already like
You
fucking.
were so young doing that shit.
Yeah, I was already. I mean, I thought everybody was doing that though, because I mean, like literally all the people I kicked it with, everybody was like people even I didn't even know that would come around. Sometimes they were already doing it. So I mean, I think it was like kind of normal at that time. Like people, because a lot of people said back then, like you wouldn't even know if that fool was doing that. You know?
No, back then we didn't know if people were doing heroin. We were just smoking meth.
Yeah.
Not heroin though. That's so I'm like,
yeah. So
shocked.
that's.
I mean, not like that, but you get what I'm saying. Like it was like a little different. And to hear like you're 17 and you haven't, obviously you're 17, you haven't even gone to prison yet for you to be using heroin. Like
Yeah.
most of the time it's like, okay, the guys go to prison even before and they come out and then they have
But
that
I think
habit.
it was because I was kicking it with like older homies that were
Got
just
it.
getting out of prison.
Yeah,
so
that
it
makes
was
sense.
like a lot of them, obviously, you know, like I mean, not to talk shit, but a lot of homies do it. Like we go to prison. And it's just like you try to escape the reality you're living in, like, and you do it. And sometimes I do it just to do it. It's just there, like the homies, hey, I got a paper, you know, boom, let's do it. But I mean, at that time it was just, you know, and then it was getting more. It was getting crazier. It was just that time it was just way different. Like it was more shit was going on. A lot of crazy shit was going on.
Especially
you know?
if everybody's out and everybody's
Yeah, that's I remember a lot of my homies were getting out at the time.
Everybody's out. Everything is just crazy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you're crazy within yourself. Now, if you weren't using, you wouldn't be hanging around because ain't nobody trying to be hanging around with somebody that's all extra. Like it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like it's just real life. You know, like not a person that's not using is not going to be chilling with somebody that uses 24/7. I mean, we could hang out. You're my friend for a second, 2 minutes, not literally 2 minutes, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but for me to hang out all day, oh nah, I can't. That's just like what is the purpose?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But okay, so what led you to your incarceration to going to prison?
Oh well, that was the first time I remember. I had just caught a gun case, but they did that. It was like my first gun case, so I got out whatever. Well, I got busted again, but it was for a high speed chase, carjacking, a gun. I had drugs. I had dope. Oh no, I had no drugs in the car. Oh no, they did. Yeah, they found drugs, but they didn't charge me with it because of who else kept it. But that was.
That's what they're using. That's what they fucking take you into this.
Yeah, because allegedly some shit had happened. Fucking somebody got hit with a car and took their car, whatever, blah blah.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, I was in the county jail, and at that time, you know, like
So that was your first time going to the county.
Yeah, no,
so,
that was my second time going to the county.
But tell me
already.
about your first time going into the county. Like, obviously, it's.
The first time, yeah, it was like I remember I get there. I mean, I was in the industry sheriff station, and from the industry sheriff station, they transferred me. So right then, right there, like, you know, like, because they keep you separate when you're in the industry. Like, your enemies are not gonna be in the same cells with you if they know where you're from, you know. And so when you get off, boom, you know, I go in, and it's like you go in, and it's just like a little square, but it's cold as hell in there, like super freezing. And you go in there, and it's just like everybody that was in the industry sheriff station with you goes with you, you know. And then people start coming though, like you get the West Covina people from like Baldwin Park, like all those different stations start coming. So they're dropping off and it's filling up, and it's like we're fresh off the streets, you know. And I don't know how it works I didn't know how it worked yet.
Yes.
I don't know about all that. So I remember like when people are like going up to you, like shaking hands, like mucho gusto, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like,
not mucho gusto me.
Yeah, like, you know. And sure enough, the first person that comes up to me was my enemy, you know. And he comes in and he's like, he has his hand out and he's like, hey, where you from? I was like, you know, I tell him where I'm from, and he's like, what? He's like, oh, you're from there? And I was like, yeah, why? He's like, oh, I know your homie Whoop Whoop. He's not telling me where he's from yet. Oh, I know your homie Whoop Whoop. And you know, he's telling me I was in the pen with this. And then I'm like, hey, where you from? You know, and he tells me, and I'm like, what? So I crack him. We start getting down. Whatever, right there. And I guess his homie was right there, so they start packing me out. Boom, right? We come, boom. They have us cuffed up. We're waiting. Boom. They send us. We get our stuff. When we get our stuff, boom, we go straight to the hole. From the hole, I get out. At the time, the hole, I think it was 3,500 at the time. It was like half of 3,500. And when I get out the hole, boom, I go to, was it 22? Yeah, it was 2,200, 2224, which was the 4-man cells. So I get there. I remember my cellies, boom, I get in there, and like, you know, it's all homies, and they're like, they bang on me, whatever. I'm like, all right, you know, I tell them where I'm from and whatever. And they're like, hey, announce your arrival, you know. And I was like, what? Like, announce my arrival? Like, what you mean announce my arrival? Like, what is that? Like, you need to announce your arrival. Like, tell them your barrio, placazo. You know, the cell you landed in. And I'm like, what? Like...
Did they ask you, like, hey, is this your first time?
No, they didn't even ask me. They were just like, what's up, homie? You know, like, I think because they just, like, were like... They were just like, oh, what's up, homie? Like, what do, whatever. Like, they weren't, like, you know... And the first thing I asked, though, was like, oh, you got drugs? You got anything on you? And I was like...
Smoke grass.
Yeah. They're like, you got anything? And I was like, nah, I don't got nothing, you know? So... Whatever,
sick ass foods, huh?
Yeah, but man, over time it's just like you realize like everybody, that's all they want is like when you're in there, you want to get high, whatever it is. People have tried anything in there, like I tried a gang of shit in there, man.
Okay,
like,
back to your announcing.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So I mean, my bad. So
no, you're good,
whatever, I announced my arrival, you know, I tell them I start, you know, Spencer La Tira, you know.
Oh, they told you how to say it.
Yeah, they told me how to say it. They're like, hey, you know, say Spencer. So I remember when I did it, they were like, yeah, because I'm loud already.
Yeah.
So I remember when I did it, like, oh shit, like, hey, you know, you're loud with us. I remember that, hey, we're gonna have you do the guy or whatever. And I'm like, what's that? Like, I just got here, like, what, you know? Yeah, you know. So I remember the homies come and they come up to me like, hey, we're gonna try to get you a blue wristband, you know, like if you go to court, like just get down with somebody so you can stay here, like, you know, we want you to stay right here, like you're cool. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I went to my court date, and sure enough, I go into the citrus court tank, which is right there, like right when you're walking from your module, boom, you go down, and then it's right there, and it's the metal detector. You go to the metal detector, and they tell you, all right, boom, go that way. Now it's different because they don't let you wander off, but before you could wander off and like go gangbang. That's how it was. So I remember I go into 4. My bad.
No,
I go into
okay.
4 and in 4 it was a citrus. So I remember I go in there and right away I start banging on where you from, tripping, you know, doing all that. Cause I mean that time like it was like everybody was doing it. Like I mean a lot of people say, oh no, that you know, but it's like really like everybody's catching phase in the court tanks. Like you're really, you know, I mean now you can't do that, but at the time, certain times it was loud, you know, whatever. So you would get in do your little thug thizzle and do your thing, whatever. And it was like gangbanging, really. Like you're just gangbanging and you know. But then you run into fools that like, you know, like I seen fools that are like lifers that they're pretty much going through trial and shit. I mean, not trial. Like they're already pretty much washed up and they're going to another case, like in-house cases. And they run into their enemies and they're like, they're not doing no like, you know, they're gonna like.
What the fuck you got going on?
They're just gonna stab you, you know, like you're gonna try to fight them, like they're already washed up. Like why are they gonna waste their time fighting a little, you know? Because sometimes these fools are a little older.
Yeah.
Like, cause if you go to court tanks and somebody like 30s, I mean, like you know, early 40s, he looks like he's younger. Like I mean, like that's how I was. Like I no, if he was like 7 years old, I'm not 60, 50. I'm not doing that. You know, like that's disrespectful. I respect all my older homies. I've always been like that, and a lot of people I've done time with that are older always told me like,
respect
man,
your elders.
You know, like I always been very respectful. I always respected them. You know, like nobody could ever say I was disrespectful to anybody that's older than me.
I feel like that's like one of the number one rules in life. I feel like we live in an era that younger people don't know about respect.
Yeah.
Don't know how to respect their elders. Like they're just rude, no manners. But obviously sometimes that comes from the parents, right?
Yeah.
But you got to teach your kids manners. You got to respect your elders. You know, no matter what. Even if you don't like the damn lady, you be quiet.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't understand how like youngsters. I mean, I can't say youngsters because there's older people doing it too. But,
yes.
like I don't understand those people that do it. Like can they like disrespect somebody that's like older, like that's been living that long, and it's like, you know, like they earn that respect. Like might as well just give it to them. Why are you gonna be like weird and like try to like like treat them different?
But there's some that are kind of like extra.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
I don't even mean in prison. I just mean in life.
I met one before. I met one at my job, like literally in the alley of my job. He like was like older, and he just was just getting crazy. But yeah,
you're like, calm down, viejito. Yeah. Okay, so back to you. You go to the court. You're citrus. You're doing your thug thizzle. Did you?
The thug thizzle. Yeah. I'm doing the thug thizzle.
Did you get your little blue band?
No, so I got it after that. So right after that, I get K2'd, and K2's like, so pretty much at the time I didn't know, but K2 was like, oh, you know, you're pretty much gonna stay in the 2000 floor. So I stay right there. The homie's like, yeah, cool. So I started doing the gallo, you know, the Buenos Dias.
Did you tell them that you never did it before?
No, I was just no. After the time when they told me to do a gallo, they were like, telling me, after I got back from court, the homies were like in my cell, like, are you gonna say like this, whoop, you know? So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm like, all right, cool, I got it, you know? So I started doing it. I was getting, you know, I would have to read it off a paper. I remember sometimes I'll have it on paper and I'll be yelling it from the paper, you know? And sometimes I'll mess up and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna get mad. But they never got mad because they knew I was barely doing it, but they just liked that my voice was very loud. So whatever, After that, I ended up getting transferred though. They transferred me to Wayside. Wayside at that time was like, damn, that shit was.
What year were this? Just so we could.
This is 2015. This was around like 2015. This is before they had the cameras in Wayside. Like they didn't have cameras at the time. So I remember when I go to Wayside, whatever. I'm already like tripping out because there's like the blacks that are right there. Like they don't want to go to Wayside. Like they were like, oh, I don't want to go to Wayside. Like they're trying to like fake heart attacks and fake seizures and do all this. And I was like tripping out to go suicidal. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I'll tell the homies I was right there with chopping it up with. And I'll be like, hey, like, why they don't, like, what's up with Wayside? Like, what's I'm tripping out.
No.
Yeah, they're like, nah, it's just because they be running into their enemigas. They don't want to, they don't want to handle their business sometimes, Like, they rather just go, because in Men's Central, like, they pretty much put all you guys together. Like, they put their gangs together type shit. They don't do that with us because we don't have a problem going wherever, But, so they're like, oh, they don't want to go, And I'm like, damn, they do all that? Like, I seen fools like fake seizures. Like, they would tell their homie, like, hey, I'm going to fake a seizure, you fake a seizure, or you do something. Yeah, I'm like, what?
Oh my God, I even
heard a fool told him. I heard some fool tell another fool like, "Hey, fucking, like pee on yourself," so it looks real, And I was like, this fool's not gonna do that. And this fool really faked the seizure, peed on himself, and I was like, what? Just so he wouldn't go to Wayside. I was like, but this is other times. Not this is the first time. Was just like I seen fools were like, oh, they don't want to go. So I was like, what the fuck? I seen fools fake a seizure, whatever. So then boom, they moved me to the 700 floor. And I remember they were like, oh, you're going to go into 718. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I remember I go and, like right away I come in and like, but they strip searched us first. I forgot to tell you. So they strip searched us. And at that time, like they don't have it now. Now they have curtains and shit before, but before, like it was just like everything's out in front of everybody. And you're like 100 people. And the hoodas are all right there, and they're looking at you, and they're like, "Hey, cuff your balls, bend over," like. And I was like tripping out on this shit, like, what the hell, like, oh, crack your ass and squat down like a catcher and cough, and I'm just like, what, like.
Girls are the same way.
Oh, for real? Oh yeah. So I was just like, but
I've been to the county Twin Towers when there was girls before.
Oh damn. Yeah.
So. I know the vibes.
Yeah.
But it's worse in
Linwood?
In Linwood.
Oh yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
100 girls. Period. Pat.
No.
Horrible. But it's not about me. It's about you.
Oh, damn. Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Damn. But yeah, so they would do that, and then we'll grab our little roll, and boom, we'll start walking. So they'll tell you where you're going. So I remember, boom, I go, and I'm going to the 715 corner, and I was supposed to go to 718. So the 715 corner is 7-6-15, or is it 7-16, 17, 18, and 19? Yes, 4. So like we would go in there, boom. So I go in there and I'm thinking, I like, because I'm already used to like, oh, what's up, homie? Like, nice to meet you. So, but me, I wasn't like really too like trying to do it right away. I wanted to know where they were from first. I was still kind of like on that. So like when homies would come up to me, I'm like, where you from? They're like, oh, I'm like, all right, Wutu, all right, cool. Nice to meet you, So, but I didn't know that when I'm getting up, I just literally cracked my ass and cuffed my balls. So when I'm trying to shake the homies hand, the homies like, hold up, you gotta wash your hands. I'm like, what you mean? Like, what you mean? Like, I'm tripping. He's like, fool, you just,
touch
I was
your
like,
ass.
oh shit. Like, so I go wash my hands and like, there's already a homies lining up, waiting to bang on you. So I'm just like, oh shit. Like, oh, it's like, okay. So boom, they start banging on me, whatever.
Naked.
No.
I was like, pause.
No, wait. No, I already passed that far. Naked. My bad. No, we get our rolls when we're walking out. We get
You're
our rolls.
dressed.
Yeah, we're dressed. No, you get dressed and then you get your rolls and then you walk out.
Got it.
But anyway.
I
was like, now I got that picture of fighting naked with people, and I'm just like, oh no,
like in the movies.
Yeah. So whatever they start banging, and there was some dude from my enemy neighborhood, but at that time they were doing like they call it like open ring, so you could go ahead and get yours out the way,
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, boom. So we did our thing, whatever, and it just like that time it was like, oh, like it was like very like. You left the soap in the shower, like broken off, like type stuff, like So like it was like breakoffs, like 113, and then it was like 226. And I don't work out. I was, like in Men's Century, you didn't have to do like mandatory workout like that. Wayside is where you had to do like mandatory workout. They had a workout guy would check you off, and
really?
Like they had the boo-bah squad, all that was going on. So. I remember when they were like, "Oh, you got to work out," they tell me about the 3-day grace, whatever. So I'm chilling, whatever, and then after they're like, "Oh, you got to start working out." So I'm like, "What the?" Like, okay. So I'm like, I don't want to fucking work out every day. Like, what the? like I'm chilling. I'm just trying to like, sleep this off. Like I've been up, like I'm trying to, And I had like what they would call it deep guts, like I would just be eating like I was because I like
they're coming off.
Yeah, so I would eat a gang and I would gain away. So I was already like I wasn't trying to chill. But they were like
you're just going through withdrawals, eating, and you just want to sleep.
Yeah, I just want to sleep, just chill, just leave me alone, But they were like not having that type of shit. So I was like, whatever.
So tighten up.
Like tighten up, cool. All right, so I started trying to work out, whatever. I'm doing workouts. So I had my little homies that I would be like kicking with, and we were kind of the same age from different neighborhoods, from different areas, though,
Yeah.
Like so, we'll do our thing, and then that's when like they started when I started like realizing like rules would change dramatically, like within times, like it would change, and then things just different. So it just be different. And then you got to adapt to it. Yeah. So like, that's what I started like worrying about. Cause I'm just like, damn, this is going on. And then there's tension. And then that's when I went into my first riot when we went to riot with the blacks. And that was a long ass one. It was pretty long, but I remember it cracked off. It was over a lunch. It was over a lunch. Cause one of them grabbed the lunch and they grabbed an extra lunch, cause they count them, they'll come up to the bars, all right, line up for chow, homie. We line up second. So the blacks would go first, and then we line up behind them, and it would change every day. So when we were grabbing lunch, one of the homies was missing one, and so like they were like, "Oh, like, hey, homies, did anybody grab two?" Like, nah. So then they go over there to their people, and they talk to them, and they were like, "We're like, well, our people got fed, And we're like, "What?" Like, so the homies like, "Oh, he's pretty much saying like, fuck us, like we're like fuck that." So it was like they're ready. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he's fed." So we're just gonna, we're just gonna kick it off. So
yeah.
I remember whatever, they get all the homies and we all start lining. We all start grouping up, covering the front bars, and they're all the way in the corner. And there's only like a few of them though. Like so, it's like we're like 30 of us, and it's like probably I think like 15 of them or something like that. And I remember like I was next to the homie. He was from like LA. And he was like, "Hey, fool, like, you ready?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, like, I'm ready." And then I remember I was with the other homie. He was from LA too. And he was like, "You ready, fool?" I was like, "Yeah." But I was like nervous, like, oh, shit,
I would be super nervous because it's your first time. And it's like you're going to war, bro. Like,
But I mean, we had the upper hand. And it was funny because they had all of us in the front. So I remember it was crazy because, I remember the homie comes and he's like...
He's a frontliner.
So I remember the homie comes, he was like, it's homies. And then we all start saying, whatever. And then like we run up and we start getting the cracking. I remember the homie was right next to me and he gets cracked and he falls, boom. And that fool just grabbed him and pulled him in. And when he pulled him in, like they just started bombing on him, like, we're going at it with these fools, and we kept getting pushed back and we're getting pushed forward because like the homies are trying to get in. It wasn't good for the homie. The homie was just in there getting,
Oh no.
Yeah, so I remember the other homie, he was a resident from just another city, but he was a big dude. And he was funny as hell, but I used to work out with him. He was a big ass fool. And I remember he just ran in there and he just started like swinging like crazy. And then we all just got in there and they threw the bombs. The bombs started cracking off. And that's when I was like, oh shit, I can't. This shit is like a fog of this shit, So it's like, oh, what the So I remember I'm crawling and this big ass fool that ran in there and punched everybody, he was sitting on the it's a little drive, we call it the driveway, right? He's sitting on the driveway right there, and he's eating one of the cheese burritos from dinner. He's just right there. I'm like, what the hell? Like, and I'm yeah, and I'm trying to breathe, And I see all the homies going towards the toilets and shit. And I remember, the homies were like, homies get ready, So I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on, So they want us to get back up and get a cracking again. So when we get a cracking again, that's when they start shooting. They start shooting the paint, the pepper balls and all that shit. That's what really messed me with, was the pepper balls, Because I remember it just hit somebody's back and it just the dust just went and it just got me. Like, and I was like, I thought I was gonna die, low key. I was like, what the? Because I remember
your first time feeling that.
Yeah, that was the worst. Because like pepper spray is like one thing, but like this is like, I don't know, it's like powder, and like that shit like it messes you up, So whatever, we start, I'm on the floor and the homie next to me, he's been down for a while. He starts throwing up on the floor next to me, and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like dying, and then they finally fucking come in. They start taking us out. But this is the time when, like, you know, like, they were really on it. Like, you didn't participate. Like, if nobody's seen you doing anything, not even trying, like, you were gonna get fucked up, you know? So I remember, like, we go in the day room, we're all right there, and we're all in the boxers and shit, and some of us are not. And, you know, like, everybody's just got, you know, like, they pretty much, like, everybody was just, you know, so, like, I remember the homies sitting down, and they go up to him, like, hey, where were you at? Like, and this was in his boxers, and he's just sitting down, like, he would, like, look like he just got out of bed type shit. Like, where were you at, fool? And that fool was like, oh, I was right there. And the other homie's like, nah, fool, like, you were hiding behind the bunks type shit. And I was like, we just finished going on a straight riot, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, what? And comes up to us, and we're chilling right there, like, hey, you fools need to fucking smash on this fool right now. I'm like, what? Like, smash on this fool. Like, this fool didn't, you know, he didn't participate type shit. Cause it's like, you know, like, we're all trying to help each other, like, and you're just gonna, like, you know,
just
like,
not do anything, yeah.
Not even try, like, fuck it, throw something at them, you know.
Yeah.
If you can't run up in there, do something. Now, some people just can't fight, you know. So I get it, whatever, but, like, still, like, come on, like, especially with the majority, like, at least just try to act like you're doing something, like, cause I mean, I wasn't always too, like, I didn't really, like, I wasn't too, like, I didn't like the ass beating part and all that shit. Like, doing foods like that, I didn't really, because, I mean, I ended up going through it my next time in county. I went through it. I was getting, like, you know, smashed on, like, 30 foods type shit. Sometimes it would be, like, just, like, foods in my cell. They would just have to just do it. And I didn't like that shit, because I was just like, damn, fool, like, you know, like, I don't know, it just, because I used to get my ass beat when I was younger, too. I used to get punched out like I was a dude, you know, so. Yeah. That shit never made sense to me. Like, that shit's not gonna make me listen. It's just gonna get me more pissed off. Mm-hmm. Like, you know? But, so whatever, we handled our business. We smashed this dude out. Whatever, they start taking people to the hole. They start doing it again. They start taking more people to the hole. Like, pretty much the people that they think is, like, the main ones, you know, whatever. So, but then they take all of us back, because they didn't catch some of us. They take all of us back into the dorm, and it's just all homies, you know? And this is when I started figuring out where, like, it can't, even if it's just all homies, it's still gonna be, something's gonna happen. So it was like,
what it is.
Yeah, so I started figuring that shit out, because I remember we're there and we're on the hole. We don't have no phones. There's nothing to do. People are getting bored. It's
just what it is. It's just men and situations. You get angry. You know, you didn't release your tension. But we don't want to talk about that part. Oh, okay, good, right? We will move forward. So you get out, or what happens?
Okay, so after I get out from that time, I get out and then I go back, and that's when this was for the carjacking and everything. So when I get busted for that, that's when I was more like already like, okay, like I know what's cracking already, you know, like I know what's going on, and a lot of my homies were busted around the time, so I'll run into them, whatever. So I remember I ran into one of my homies, and then we're chilling right there, whatever, everything's cool. And around that time, I remember like it was more of like I was just more like trying to participate in everything, trying to like handling business, go to the hole. I was always in the hole, just always in the hole. So then after I'm going to core, same thing, core line phase, doing all that stuff, and it's just like kind of like just a routine, like every day is the same. You're already
used to it.
Yeah, so it's not really nothing, you know. So when you run into new people that are just coming in, you try to like guide them the right way, whatever, you know, like, hey, you know, like don't do this, whoop de whoop. Some people will try to just lead you straight wrong, like they've done it to me before, but yeah, so anyways, from there, I ended up getting sent to prison. So
So you went to prison for carjacking.
Yeah, it was they dropped the carjacking. It was for the high speed chase, a gun. So I was like, I was gonna do 3 years with half.
And how did you get caught? Did you get caught in a high speed chase?
I got caught in the car. I crashed the car.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh, okay, So anyways, I'm right here. I'm kicking it in my neighborhood with one of my homies, and you know we're obviously doing our little thing, running around, and I happen to run into somebody with their car on. So I see the car, and I'm like, I'm gonna just get in this shit and jump in it. So I tell the homie, hey, stop, fool. So he stops. I hop out, and he's like, what are you gonna do? I was like, there's a whip right there. So he's like, all right. So I run over there. I get in the car, but when I'm reversing out, this dude's running out.
So, he sees you getting in his car.
Yeah, so when he's running out, he was like, you know, like, ooh, up, and I started driving, like, you know, like, so when I started driving, I kind of chip him, you know, and he kind of moves out the way, and boom, I dip off. So after I dip off, and like the homies follow me, whatever, he's like, all right, fool, like, fuck, what are you gonna do? I was like, I don't know, like, fuck it, I'm gonna just
drive around.
Yeah, you know, so sure enough, whatever. So then, I was in my neighborhood and I'm driving around and, I'm burning it up and I'm doing whatever. And sure enough, the hood pulled up behind me and I'm thinking it's called cool. I have the windows down. It was like an Infinity. So I'm thinking, oh, fool,
I'm on the cover.
Yeah, I'm bumping. Everything's feeding me. Like, thinking it's all cool. Obviously, the hood when they pass by, they're going to see me, So, whatever, I get in, they blur me and I'm like, should I slow down? So I'm like, nah, that. So I remember I start slowing down, and then right when we start slowing down, I'm like, man, I start dipping. Boom. I start smashing. I'm going. Boom. I crash. When I crash into another car. I didn't crash into another car. I crashed into the pole. And when I crashed into the pole, that was another time I crashed into a car. I got into a pole, and when I got out, because I didn't crash that bad, so I got out and I start dipping off, and I start running. So I'm running. I'm in my neighborhood, so I know where I'm going, So I start running down the street. Boom, I start hopping walls. Boom. But when I start hopping walls, I'm going back into the streets. So boom, I'm running. But when I get back into another street, the hoodas are right there. So boom, they start chasing me, and I'm like, so I'm trying to run. They're like, I hear one of the hoodas. I always remember this fool's name, that fool Lopez. That fool tells me like, don't keep moving. I'm gonna shoot you. So I'm like, so I get down, and when I get down, he gets on top of me and cracks me. Boom, like. Fuck, whoop, I'm like, what the fuck? So, he starts me up, and I remember the Hudas, they parked the cars like facing like away from me, like the front, and they pull and they far up, and one of them was a gang, I remember, and they were us up, and they were like dissing the hood and doing all the extra shit and whatever. And I remember that Huda because I remember that Huda caught me another time, and that time he me up again too. He beat the shit out of me, and he caught me with a gun again, and he beat my ass bad. And that time, whatever. So that's when I ended up getting busted. For that. So when I get sent to prison,
what was your sentence?
3 years and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. So I go, and when I go to prison, I'm on the YOP, so it's youth offender, like Scott Bundick and all them. He's like the one I think that started it, kind of.
He did.
Yeah.
I had him on indicted.
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah. So he used to go visit us in Ironwood sometimes too. Yeah, he would come. So anyways, so when I go, I'm in Delano or whatever, and
it's your first time.
It's my first time, and I remember there was homies that would tell me like, hey, like make sure you sign up to go do a holly, so you can earn this. Now I'm like, so I'm thinking like, oh yeah, like that's what I'm trying. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So I remember when I get there. I go and I land in a D4 or no D5. No, was it? No, D1, my bad. I landed in D1. So I'm in D1 there. So I remember the first thing I told him, because he came up to me, started chopping up me, whatever. I was real nervous, I remember, when I went, because
it's your first time,
yeah,
bro?
So the first, when you first get there, you get off the bus. The bus drive is the longest drive. I remember, like, that's the, like, and it's like the depressing. Like, you can't talk or nothing. They just want you to just be, and
no
like
music, just quiet.
It's just weird. Like, it's just not like, county bus, that they'll bump, sometimes they'll bump music all cool. They'll play on Pandora even, so we can hear like good shit, not radio shit. But state is like way different. They're like not having that. I don't know why. I don't understand, but they have their reasons. But I used to hate that shit. It was the longest drive. Could go to the Grapevine. I never seen none of this shit either. So I'm driving, whatever. When I get, I'm nervous because like I'm just like, like,
what's
like,
gonna happen?
Yeah, like how, like, like how's it gonna be, because I always hear stories, but I don't know how it is,
For sure.
Yeah, so I remember when I get there, they take me in, they fucking you gotta get naked, whatever, do your thing, and then they put you in another spot and you do the whole little process, whatever. And when I finally land to my block, the homie starts talking to me, asks for the paperwork and all that stuff, so I give it to him, whatever. And my celly was whatever. He was cool. I thought he was like this big old badass gang member because he was all like tatted up. I remember he was all tatted neck down, like just blasted up. No face tats or nothing, but he was just tatted and he was older than me. He didn't tell me what he was busted for or nothing because I didn't, at the time when I first got there, I didn't know, like, it was his first time. I didn't end up knowing until a little later on. But so whatever, we're chopping it up and we're being cool. Well, I tell the homie, like, because I remember people were telling me when I was in county, like, hey, make sure you sign up for this and that. So I remember I tell him, hey, like, put me on the first holly,
Oh, no.
You sure? Like, whoop, and I'm like, yeah, like, I want to do it. So he's like, for sure. Comes back, who you going to take with you? Like, who you want to take with you? I was like, I'll take the homie with me. And
That fool didn't even know.
I didn't even know. And he was knocked out when they asked me too, right? So I'm like, I'm going to take the homie with me. He's like, all right. So.
You just volunteered him.
Yeah, so you talked to him already? He's like, yeah, fool. He's like, all right, we'll get. So boom, he takes off. This fool gets up and I'm like, hey, fool, we're going to go, like, what the whoop? And this was like, what? Like, what you mean? And I was like, yeah, the whoop. Like, we're going to do. Was like, he's like, fool, I'm in here for a DUI, fool. Like, I'm about to go home. And I'm like, what? Like, well, fool, it's already done. Like, and he's like, nah, fool, what the like. So I started realizing how like he wasn't really like
with it.
Yeah, he wasn't even from like a real gang. Like his gang was like, it was like I don't think he was actual neighborhood. I think it was like a tag banging thing or something like that, whatever. But he was there for like a DUI.
Poor guy.
Yeah, something like that. He was like whatever. But I mean, he was cool though. He was cool. But anyway, so like he's like tripping. He's all mad. He hasn't came out because it's not dinner yet. So when dinner comes, boom, we come out. And I remember I used to joke with him because he was from like up north, and I would like clown with him. And I was like, oh, because he would have like, he had red stars tatted, and like he had Cali right here, 209, and I remember it was in red. So I started telling him like, oh, and I was like, oh yeah, food. Like I was like, oh, you're like, he's like, stop playing like that, fool. Like stop playing like that. Like it's not funny, And I'm like, oh, like because I didn't really know about it, so I was just like clown with him, whatever. So I remember when we went to dinner, we're sitting on us, and the homie that's right there, whatever, they're right there. So we're chopping it up, and I remember I start clowning him again, start throwing that out there, and then he starts getting weird, and he's like there, and he's like, if you guys are gonna beat me up, just do it. And I'm like, what? Like I was like, what the? I was like, what the talking about, fool? Like And I remember the homie was like, hey, fool, like you're good, like you're tripping, like did you get high or something? Like you have some shit. And we're like, nah, we're like, he's like, if you guys gonna beat me up, just do it, like I'm not from up north, like we'll do it. And we're like, fool, I'm playing with you, like relax. So the next day was supposed to be yard. So I remember other homie comes, the child survey comes, and he starts talking to him, and it's cool. So we go back to the cell, and I start like talking shit like, fool, you're weird, dog. Like what? He's like, fool, I'm not trying to go do this. I'm not trying to do this. I'm like, whatever, dog. So I remember we go to yard, and we start walking the yard, whatever, and they started lining us up to go to yard, and then boom, we go to yard, and when we go to yard, we take the first lap, take the first little lap. That's when everybody starts catching up to each other. We're walking like kind of close towards the tower, and I'm walking with my celly, mind you. So my celly's right there, and I'm walking with like two of the homies, and like this fool starts like, he's just like, oh, I'm like, what the f-? Like I look at him, and he goes to the floor, and he starts holding his chest, and he's telling me,
he's scared.
He's telling me he's having a heart attack, right? I don't know if he's really having a heart attack.
Because you already seen other fools pretend.
No, like, I seen fools pretend, like, do their little fake shit, but, like, when he's saying he's having a heart attack, I don't know if you're really having a heart attack. You can't say I never seen, like, a real one.
Yeah,
I just seen people saying. Fake shit, so I was just like, I don't know if he's really having one. I thought he was really having one because he's kind of older, so I'm, like, thinking, like, okay, like, maybe. But, nah, this fool was, he ended up faking it. He ended up faking those shit. He went, he locked it up, whatever. And they snatch me up, and they take me to another yard. So they take me to C yard. So now they take me to C yard, and like I wasn't supposed to be on that yard because it's too high level. I was supposed to be on C yard where the dorms. So then when I get to the dorms, it's like way different, So I'm like, what the f-? So when I go to the dorms are just like, it's just like, it's fucking crazy there. So I'm just like, oh shit, like I'm adapting to everything that's going on, because it's like so many people. It's way more people than the county jail dorms, It's like a lot of people, then. Yeah, because it's like 3 different spots or whatever. So whatever we start, I start going in there. We're working out because you have to work out. So I'm working out, doing my workout thing, whatever, doing my little thing, and then that's when I remember. They were like, oh, we need somebody to like, run the little spot, whatever. And so I ended up getting sent to another yard. They sent me to B yard. So when I go to B yard, they up my fucking.
And this is still just you in reception.
Yeah, this is me in reception still. So I remember, boom, I go there to B yard, and from B yard, the Wild P counselor comes, and they're like telling me, it's a youth offender program, this and that, whatever. So I'm like, all right, like whatever. Like, yeah, I'm down for it. Like I'll do it. It's like, all right, cool. So we do the YOP, what is it called? Like, it's like when they all come, and it's like the warden, the counselor, like everybody starts talking, and they start going over my history of being in county jail. And they're like, oh, I have all these write-ups.
Kind of like you got to go to board.
Yeah, so they're like telling me about all my write-ups and all that shit, and I'm just like, okay. So they're like, you have 89 points, but we're gonna override you to a level 3 because you qualify for the YLP,
which is good, right?
So I'm like, all right, like okay, whatever, because if they're like, then the warden tells me, he's like, oh yeah, you think you're tough or what? And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, because I had this on me, and he's like, oh, like, you got that face tattoo. Like, you know what they're going to do when you go, you want to be in a level 4? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't care. He's like, oh, you don't care? Like, you know what happens to level 4 is they're going to give you a shank and you're going to have to kill somebody. This is not. He starts getting all crazy with me, and I'm just like, what? And the counselor lady was like, hey, relax. So they were going to send me to Ironwood. And that's where I was with the homie, Alex. The homie right there, and I was with him. I was my boy right there too. But so anyways, I get to Ironwood. When I get to Ironwood, that's when it's way different. Like, it's totally different. It's like more chill, more laid.
Alex, the MMA fighter.
No, Alex with the long hair. Yeah.
He's funny.
Yeah, that's the boy right there. I was with them. Yeah, that's the homie. And so when I get to Ironwood, and I remember I get an orientation. I'm wearing all red. And like homies on the bus are like when we get off, there's like talking about whatever, like, like what's going on, like what if they tell you to go over here, don't go over there, like make sure you get off, and all that shit's going on, So I'm just like, okay, like, because I'm still not, I don't know what how it all works, like homies are telling me,
but you don't know,
but like I don't really know, so I'm just trying to like soak it up, and I'm just listening, and whatever, I get there, and when I get there, everything runs smooth. I'm running smooth, and then I get moved to another block. When I get to 5 block, and that's when I end up overdosing. I end up ODing on the yard.
On heroin?
Yeah, on heroin. I
How was that for you?
I don't really remember it.
Okay.
Like luckily I came back because the homie from LA, he pretty much, I went out on the bench in the day room. I just went out, and when I went out, I just don't really remember, because I remember I did it. The yard went down. Something was cracking outside, and the homie was like, here, fool, whoop. So I did it, boom. And then I remember I got up, but I don't know how much. I didn't really pay attention to what I did. Like, I really didn't pay attention. So I remember I get up, and then boom, like it just starts. I start feeling like oh shit, like what the like not how I want to feel, And I just remember like looking at the tear, and like the tear was moving, and I was like, what the. And I sit down, and I lay down, and the homie's like, don't lay down, fool, don't lay down. Like, stand up, like, sit up. And I'm like, I can't, fool. Like, I don't want to. I'm chilling. Like, I feel good laying down. They're like, nah. And I remember they're like, fool, put this one in the shower. So they put me in the shower, and I remember the homie was right next to me, and I start throwing up, like, all in the shower, like, just throwing up. And the homie gets me on, like, oh, shit. So he's like, he puts me down, and I'm sitting down on the bench, and the SEAL's not even paying attention. So I'm sitting down on the bench, and I lay down, and the homie was like, fool, like, you were like like purple. They hit me, they gave me meth. They said like I was almost purple. They gave me meth, like I don't know how many shots of meth, and I came back, and I remember that was like,
they gave you meth so you could snap out of the heroin?
Yeah, so I remember when they gave me meth, I went, they started walking me to my cell, right? I had no celly though. I don't know how much meth they gave me, because I remember that was like the worst. Like,
so you're overdosing and they're giving you meth.
Yeah, to pretty much overpower. Yeah, like I don't know what.
I guess, but they know, right? They know?
They know. I don't know.
That is terrible.
But I remember that was the worst. Like, so I was like, what? So I remember I'm in the cell, and like it's going up and down. I'm going up and down, and I end up going to sleep, and I wake up, and I'm already like trying to do it again. Like, what the shit right there, That
is terrible.
Yeah, so I remember that's when it started getting bad, and then.
And you're like still working out when?
Yeah, I used to do it and work out. I used to do that shit all the time. But I remember that's when I started like trying to like get into shit. Like now I'm trying to like raise my hand and shit like that.
Because you're on drugs.
Yeah,
carrying.
I'm just like fuck it, and like again, I'm not really talking to nobody at the time. And
you're just lost in your prison world.
Yeah, like I'm just doing whatever. So I remember I end up we're on the yard, and I remember I was like getting stuff sometimes, and I remember I gave it to a homie, and the homie was like, oh, like I'm gonna pay you. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. So I remember days is coming by, and I'm like, what's up with the homie, and I'm not really, people have been cool with me because I wasn't doing it, just like here and there, like just to get some store, whatever, do my thing. And like this fool was like on some like well, it's, I don't care, like, like, what are you gonna do, like, type shit. So I was like, what the like, And he was an older homie, and it was crazy because he was my enemy too, you know? Like, but he was older. Like, he was probably like 40s, maybe almost 50, you know? And I remember he tried to, like, you know, like, do all that. So I'm like, what the f? So I remember I was like, all right, like, this shit. Like, this got me so I'm like, going, I'm this fool, you know? But when I'm walking towards my block, because I'm waiting for inline, like, this fool comes from behind me, and like that fool like taps me on the shoulder, and I was like, what's up, fool? He's like, hey, fool, like, I'm not paying you, dog. Like, I'm not gonna pay you, you know? And I just remember I slapped him. And then when I slapped him, he was like, what the fuck? And there was like certain people there, and like pulled me to the side, you know? And I remember like a lot of stuff was going on, you know? A lot of stuff was going on. I got in trouble, whatever.
Because you slapped him.
Yeah, you know, on the yard, and I got in trouble, and
yeah, even though he didn't want to pay you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was just like it, you know, and he still ended up having to pay me though, anyways. But yeah, he still ended up having to pay me. But it was just like, I got in trouble though, and that's when I started getting into a lot of trouble. I was getting into a lot of trouble, and like I was you know.
And those little 3 years.
Yeah, and those little 3 years and a half. So I was like, I was, you know. So whatever. I finally get out. So now when I finally get out.
Well, you were high when you got out though, right?
No, yeah, I was still getting high.
Okay.
So this one it started getting worse, and then I started getting high again. Whatever, I'm doing my thing, and I get busted again.
How long were you out for?
Probably like less than a month.
Yeah,
I was probably less than a month. So I get busted with a strap. They bust me with the strap, and after when they bust me with the strap, that's when I start getting. This is when I end up in high power. So I go to 1750. No, I was go to 3500 to the fish roll, and because I end up. This is the time when like I was going through some shit. I was going through some shit, whatever. And I was, you know, this when I was getting like I was getting smashed out, beat up, you know.
But
like,
why were you getting? What was happening?
Just some shit.
You just weren't listening or some shit?
Nah, it was just some shit that was going on. Yeah.
Okay.
So whatever, I was going through all this, and I was getting tired of it because I was like, man, I need to talk to somebody about this shit. So I remember I take off on a huda. And when I take off on the huda, I was thinking like I was gonna kind of like win, but it didn't go out my way. You know, like I started getting up.
Yeah.
I started getting beat the shit out of. And I remember I landed 3500. So when I landed 3500, it's way different. You know, like they have people mixed in with everybody right there on the road because we don't come out together. We're all still we're K10, so we just stay in the cell. And when we go to the showers, we're cuffed up. You know, like it's different. But so this is when I was my bad. After I took off on the huda, they sent me to 3301, which is like the hole. So I'm in the hole right there. Right there was because 1750 hole was G-roll. It has only 6 cells. So like every time people go to the hole in 31 or 1750, they go to that hole right there. But when they don't have room, they send you to 3301.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, so they send you to 3301. So 3301 has I think 14 cells. But right there, they have them like they're like it's called the gasser tanks, right? So like the fools that are originally supposed to be there, because this is what we're doing. Like we're trying to do grievances and everything, because they were treating us like as we were gassers when we caused staff assaults, or even when I was in 31 and I had to remove somebody, like they would send me to that spot sometimes. So it's like, because if there's no room, they don't give a fuck. They're just gonna you have to go to the hole, and you have to be in a high level of security. Also, there's only 1750 G-roll and there's 3301. So I'm there, and right there they treat you like that. So like they don't give you no milk cartons, they don't give you they don't give you no bags. Like you get your food in a paper bag, and the paper bag has cabbage, bread, and cheese. And the cheese is pretty much to give you for the like. It's supposed to like pretty much like, oh, we can't give you juice or milk, so we got to give you cheese as the
dairy.
The dairy, no, like so like something that's like to fill in for that, like the substitute is a substitute, right?
That is terrible.
And then like we wouldn't get the same shit like when they would get burritos and shit like that. We wouldn't the chicken sandwiches. We wouldn't get that. We would get the same bullshit, and it was like cabbage, cheese, and bread, and like sometimes like it was just like the scariaki and all that shit, like nasty ass shit.
That is terrible.
And yeah, so after that, I get out the hole, and like I was going through shit in the hole. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep because there would be fools like when I was younger, bang on the thing. But see, these fools are like not on the GP side, so they act crazy as
Yeah.
so they're doing all that. And then I remember that time I remember I went to the showers that time. They would sometimes put us in the showers, like there'll be like rows of showers, right? So they'll put us right there, and that's remember the first time I ever gassed. The gassing, that was like the most disgusting shit, like how I don't know how people do it, but like there would be fools, they would like shit in something or their hand, and they would just smack you with it, like throw it at you, and like because if they would like they hated like the homies and stuff like that, so they would purposely do shit like to like, and that's the only thing they could do because we can't do nothing behind the bars, you know. And those showers is metal bars, so it's like real thin, and like you could stick your hand through it though, and like if I'm next to the next shower, I could literally put my hand out and throw it on you.
You're kidding. So the showers have bars too.
Yeah, the showers have bars, but the next to me is like it's a sheet of metal.
Yeah.
And then right here, like you could throw something in there and the bottom too. You know, like if they want to get at your feet or they want to get a razor, like fools will do that too. Like they'll get razors and like they'll go under you and they'll try to like slice you. But we wouldn't get razors like in when we were K-10, we weren't allowed razors and shit like that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so I remember when I got gassed, I was throwing up. I was like, what the f-? Like, you know, so the homies started telling me back there, like, you know, like, because they would ask you, like, hey, are you active? And I'm like, yeah, whoop. They call me whoop. All right, cool. You know, like, hey, you know, there's only me, and so-and-so. So when they would hear us talking, they would talk over us. Yeah, like, oh, you these bitches. You know,
yeah.
all the extra shit. So it was, like, frustrating back there. So I was like, what the f-? So then when I get to 3500 to fish roll, that's when shit is like, now it's not like 3301 where it's cell doors. It's like, it's over there, it's bars again. So when you have bars and you have a neighbor that's like a weirdo like that, like they'll do that shit to you. Like if they try to talk to you and you'll be like, hey, are you active? And they'll be like, oh, I'm like, nah, I'm not. And I'll just be like, oh, I'm not gonna talk to you, you know? And I'll just chill to myself and they'll get pissed off. Like, what? Like,
yeah.
So I remember one time I'm right here, I'm bird bathing. And right when I'm behind me, like this fool throws on my back. So I'm like, oh, what the f-? And I started smelling and I'm just like, I was like, yeah. And I was bird bathing, so I'm pissed off. And I'm like, what the f-? All right, motherfucker. So I remember there was the homie from LA. He was next to me, but he had a lighter, you know? So, I mean, he didn't have a lighter. He had batteries. So when he had the batteries, he would know how to make the flame out of the toilet paper with the toilet paper roll, you know? Mm-hmm. You would like get the lighter, get the red head, and then just start shaking it inside and it engulf into like a flame type shit. Well, it would do like a flame. So I remember I would tell him like, hey, fool, like this fool thoops, and that fool would be talking shit. So I would be like on the top bunk and he was on the bottom, but we're in separate cells. And I would be telling him like, hey, fool, like what should I do? And this fool's like, look, fool, I got some grease and I got this with up in baby oil. Like, you could just wait for that fool to go to sleep and just try to light that fool on fire, you know? So I'm like, oh, like, you're right. So, like, right away, the homie, like, boom. So he starts making me the socks and everything. He starts wrapping them in grease, put baby oil. He gives me the baby oil. He starts telling me to put it all over his bars, and I'm doing that all over his floor. And I'm like, it's like probably 3, 4 in the morning, you know? Like, this fool's knocked out. So I'm right there like, hell yeah, I'm going to get this fool back, you know? So
that is terrible.
Well, he threw shit on me.
I know. Yeah. I'm just thinking. Hi.
Sorry. Yeah, so I remember, whatever. So I'm waiting. I wait for them to do the walk. So when they do the walk, boom, I get all the stuff. I get the flame, boom, and I do my shit. And I remember my hands were like all like light a shade of brown because I would have to pick up the grease with the hot ass grease because it was burning, and I had to throw it in the cell. So there's something is gonna ignite into the flame with something. But luckily he had a curtain, so he had a curtain with the blanket because you know when we get the blanket and we'll put it to cover ourselves. You know. So his shit just started catching on fire already. So I remember it was catching on fire. I remember all I could see is because it's like the walls like right here. The walls right here. So all you see is well, it's not the wall. It's because we're on the second tier. So it'd be like the mesh. It was like mesh, but you could see it like bright as like it's just fire, you know. So this was still there, and I don't hear nothing. The homies waiting, and we're just quiet listening. And then sure enough, here like this fool falls off, and then he gets up and he starts yelling, help, help, right? He starts yelling and shit, and he's throwing water and doing his thing, whatever. And the hudas come, yeah. So the hudas come. And they thought because that fool was like already known for doing weird shit, they thought he lit a fire. Like he lit a fire. So whatever, he ended up telling on me though. So fuck, I remember they take him out, whatever, and I remember they came with the water hose though. They came with the water hose and they sprayed the fucking shit first before they went to. They sprayed it because it was like kind of fire still. So they sprayed that shit, and it was one of these hoodas I didn't like. Sprayed in my cell, and I got my Bible and got all types of shit. So I'm pissed,
Everything you said, all the stuff you said, and you had to say Bible. Oh my God.
Oh my bad. I know. Well, I mean,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I was pissed, and they got my pictures, and I was like, oh, like I was mad, and so they take them out, and then they all come deep in front of my cell, like, oh, cuff up. I'm like, I ain't cuffing up for what? They're like, oh, like we know he said you did it. I'm like, bro, I didn't do nothing. Like, how am I gonna be like? How am I gonna get in there? They're like, we're not stupid. Like, I'm like, man, like I didn't do shit, you know. So they're like, well, you're gonna cuff up or we're gonna take you out type shit. And I was just like, the homie's like, hey, fool, just go, you know, just go. You already. So boom, then they take me to 1750. 1750 is way more cooler because I mean. The homies could like, you know, like they'll pass like notes through the hudas to us, like here, fool, like, you know, like if you need anything.
I wonder if they read them, probably, huh?
They for sure do, because they would like sometimes they'll have tape on them, but they'll be open, you know.
Yeah.
So like they're gonna have to. So
yeah,
but it'll be nothing crazy. Just like, hey, if you need anything, holla at us. You know, they were in this cell with the whoop. So I was like, because I remember when they first brought the paper to me, kicked on. He's like, hey, you know your problem? I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, here. I'm like, what the? So I get it. I'm like, what is this? And
so everything was like different for you.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I'm like. So the homie's like, oh, he tells me, hey, if you need any peanut butters or anything like that, we'll send them to you, know, like, we heard you're back here. I'm like, cool. So they're like, hey, if you ain't just pass it to the hudas. I'm like, what the f***? You wrote all this? And I'm like, what the f***? Pass it to the hudas? But there was other homies in the hole with me, so they started talking to me. And they're explaining, you know, like, whoop. So I'm like, all right, like, because I still haven't got to make it to the actual 1750 or 3100 yet. So I'm like, I'm in the hole, and I go to the fish run, I come back to the hole. So I'm just like, you know.
You're just a mess.
Yeah, so I'm like, fuck. Well, what they would do, they would send drugs. They'll send drugs to us sometimes. So I remember when they'll send drugs up, because they'll send us like, and like they would always like they would send it and we'll get it and we'll start doing our thing. But then like I don't know where like, and they'll come with another one and boom, and they'll have, and I'm like, what the, like that's like kind of burnt out, but like they would, you know, with the whoops. So I'm like, what the. So sometimes they would like try to hit the cells, but they never fucked with us really. Like back there, they didn't want to deal with it. Like it was just
unnecessary, you know, for them.
So boom, we'll do our little thing. We'll be back high, whatever, and then you know.
I cannot imagine being high in a cell.
I know it sucks. It sucks. I that's the time
I would write letters for freaking days.
Nah, I remember that's when I was writing poems. I was writing poems.
Is that when you started writing?
Nah, I mean, I was still like not writing like crazy ass poems, like trying to like really write. I was just writing like bullshit and like write letters.
Roses are red, violets are blue.
Yeah, it's like no, nothing serious. You know, like trying to. I was trying. It wasn't nothing. You know. So, anyways, yeah, I wasn't really trying to do it like that. So, anyways, I remember so after I finally get out and they send me back to 35, but in 35 this time they have like 3 cells next to me and 3 cells this way, like empty. And I remember they come up to me and they're like, hey, like, we're going to put you somewhere and, you know, like, you're going to act right, you know? Like, you're going to act right where you're going to go. You're not going to light nobody on fire. So I'm like, okay, like, what are you talking about? Oh, you know, like, don't trip. Like, just get all your stuff ready, you know? Like, I wasn't even there that long. They didn't want me in 35 because they didn't want to deal with my shit type shit. So they're like, all right, whatever. So I remember they tell me, oh, whatever, you're going to go. So when I finally they send me to 31. So when I go to 31, they send me 31 Baker Row. And I remember, and I get there and it's just like super quiet. It's not like how it is like when I would go to like 2200, 43, like it was loud as TVs were loud. Like it was like quiet as and like you would hear like you can hear the other side when they'll say like, hey, you know, send the linea, whatever. And I'm like quiet. So I remember I'm right there and they had me in the shower waiting and then they get my bed. The trustee comes, puts my bed and I'm right there and I was in cell 15. And I remember I go, they take me out and they talk me to my cell and I boom, whatever. And the homie's like, hey, you know, announce your arrival. So I announced my arrival. And I remember it was way different, like how they would like, oh, you know, like, hey, they would wake you up in the morning. So like they would do like a gallo, but like it was like Buenos Dias, but it'd be like 4 in the morning. Like it was like 5 in the morning. 5 in the morning they would call everybody's name. And if you didn't wake up, you were broken off, you know? Because we're stuck in the cell 24/7 pretty much. Only Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays we'll come out for showers. So I remember they'll wake us up 5 in the morning. I had to wake up and work out. And I was like getting used to because I was used to just getting up at 10 and just working out, doing my thing.
ass.
Well, I mean, because that was, you know, that was what it was, you know.
Yeah.
So I remember, they wake us up, and I remember at the time when they're calling me, I'm like laying down. I'm like, I'm not gonna like what, you know? So I'm like, what? And they're like, what? You know, because everybody was like, they say it a certain way, you know. So I remember, I'm like, what? And they're like, hey, oh shit, hey fool, like. Spencer, but like, you know, like you gotta say it this way, you know, like if we forget it's your first time, I'm like, all right, cool, like my bad, like, you know, usually everybody back here knows what time it is. I'm like, oh, okay, like my bad. So they tell me whatever, so I tell them, see, you know, whatever, and then all right, then we do the workout. So I'm like, so I'm trying to go back to sleep already, and they're talking about doing a workout, like 30 minutes on me's workout. I'm like, 30 minutes, like workout, like I cannot be up in 30 minutes. I'm gonna want to lay down still, you know. And they're like, and then my bunkie's like, hey, homie, like, make sure you, like, you know, like, get up, fool, like, get up, like, take off so they could see your shadow, because there's a shadow, and you could see, they could see the workout, you know, so, like, your neighbors will know. If it's cool if you don't have no neighbors, then nobody, you know, like, you might not be able to see it. So I remember they're like, boom. So I remember I started doing the workout, and they like, I didn't know how to do it, because I remember they called me, like, hey, problem, can you assist us with the next final exercise of 56-count burpees? And I'm like, 50, when they're all calling out the workouts, I'm just trying to like figure out what I'm doing. I just see everybody jumping down, so that all they could see is my shadow going down. So I remember I would just go down and then get up, because I would just do like a push-up or something. Well, I didn't know, because the homies weren't telling me, like, you know, like.
What about your celly? He didn't tell you?
No, in 3100 you have no celly. It's just one man cell. So like you have a celly, but he's on bottom of you, but like it's a wall. You get me? Like, so it's like, I don't know how to explain. It's a one man cell, but you have a celly, but it's a bunk, you know? So it's a wall. You can't touch him or nothing unless it's through the bars or whatever. Like, but he's not there with you. So I remember, like, we're doing it, whatever. And then, like, I remember when they get to me, like, I'm just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they're like, hey, fool, like, you're not. So they start explaining to me, but they're being cool about it. So they're being cool about it. They're explaining to me, like, oh, this is what it is. So when we go to yard, we'll show you. So I remember we go to yard, and it's like cage yard. So we'll go to yard. And they started telling me, this is a 6-count burpee. It's a 1-pump burpee. You know, they started telling me so on, so on. So I'm like, oh, okay, so 6 counts is 1 pump.
You did want to learn, though.
Yeah, I wanted to learn to know what I was doing, you know?
Okay.
And I remember when I started taking it serious, because now I know. So I remember I started because it'd be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll do workouts, you know? Sometimes every day, it just depended how the homie, whatever, like, sometimes they give us a pass, like, oh, you know, like, lay down, homies, like, you're good, you know? But I remember, like, I started trying to take it serious. Like, I would make sure, and I was loud, so I was always loud. So I remember I was doing it, and I started calling out. The homie was leaving to prison, so they're like, hey, we're going to have you do it, problem, you know? So I remember they would have me do the guy in the morning, and I started doing it, and then, you know, they started, like, they remember the homie who came from prison, he was teaching me how to, like, speak Nawa and stuff like that, and I started getting into all that. And, but when I went to day room one time, it was crazy, because, like, nobody would know what was going on. So, like, right when we went to day room, you go to day room, you had to be on your toes, because you don't know what's going to happen. So, like, it would only put, like, 4 homies and 4 blacks. And I remember, like, when we went in, the homie right away comes up to me, like, hey, what this is going on, you know? I'm just like, what? Like, oh, you know, we're going to crack it off with these fools who threw up. And I'm just like, so they go to the toilet. Right when they go to the toilet, they already knew what was kind of going on. Like, they already knew, like, oh, like, these fools are pulling out burners. So right away, like, one of the fools from LA, he was a black from LA, he comes up to me and like he's like, hey, what the starts chopping it up, but he's trying to look at what this fool's doing, like, because he keeps going like this, talking to me, and he's like looking back, and I'm like, what the so I'm like nervous, and I think he knows I'm nervous. So then boom, he just dolphins me, boom, and we start cracking it off. And that shit don't last, because that one, like, when they're there, they have this, like, it's like a block, like a type of thing. It looks like a thing, but they shoot, and it ricochets off shit, and it'll hit you. So we're cracking, and boom, they throw a bomb. Boom, they throw the bomb. It's still going. And boom, finally it hits one of the homies. He falls, and we start going for a little bit more. And they start hitting the pepper balls, and we just get down. So then finally we get down. They're telling us all to separate. Boom, they start taking us out. So I go back to fucking 3301. But this time, like, I was like more worse. Like, there was no active homies back there with me. So I remember when I went back there, they were just talking shit to me. And then when we went to showers, like, I would like want to bird bath. But the fucked up part is that in 3301, you can't have soap dishes. You can't have shampoos. You can't have body washes. You can't have like nothing with you in your cell. Wow. So like you only when you go to showers, they'll give you your stuff. So like you can't ask for stuff. It's weird. I don't understand. But so I remember like I wouldn't want to go to showers, but I'm like, take a shower. But these was going to gas me probably. And sure enough, every time I went, they would try to gas me. And they caught me most of the times. And then it got to the point where they would even gas me at court. Like I went to court one time for an in-house case. I was going for the in-house case for the assault on the Hura in CCB court. And you go and it's like a bunch of it's a bus, but it has a bunch of cages because we're all K10s. We're going to CCB court, so they'll transfer all of us right there. And there's no glass or nothing. There's no glass in between each other at the time. Sometimes some buses they'll put glass, some buses didn't have it. I don't know why they didn't put them, all of them, but that's how you would get gas, because they would take bottles, because you could take soda with you and all that shit. So I remember fools would take bottles of like their shit in there, like.
That's what you mean by gassing. That's what you mean by that.
Yeah, they would throw it. Gassing is like throwing like their bodily fluids on you. Like anything like waters, gassing. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, they would throw shit. Like, so I remember I was in court.
That is terrible.
Yeah, so CCB court, they would put one person inside of the little cell where like, okay, because it's a cell, right? It's a big square, and then there's this part like a cage like this, and it's where the Huras walk in, and they talk to you, and then boom, you come out, and they open this door, and they make sure everybody's in there, and then they close it, and then you're in here, and then they open this door to come out. So not everybody's doors, not all the doors are open, so it's like a section to get in. Well, when we're K10, they need room, so they'll put two people in the same cell, in the same room, but there's one fool that's in the toilet side where he could walk around, and then there's me sitting on a crate. They would have you sit on a fucking crate. So
all
like,
day.
Yeah.
Wow,
so like you would be right there, and then like you would be with somebody that's not active. And I remember like they gassed me, and I was like mad as like I can't say, oh, this dude gassed me, because they came in, the Hudas came in like, what happened? And I'm like, what you mean what happened? I got shit on me. They're like, how? Like, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, what are you talking to you fools? Like, I'm not talking to you fools, dog. Like, you fools are weird. And they're like, oh, you gotta go to court. I'm like, I ain't going to court with shit on me. I'm like, oh, you ain't going to court? Like, what make you go to court? Like, you're not making me go to court. I have shit all over me, dog. Like, you know? And they were like, oh, so they start roughing me up, drop me to the floor, and start doing all the extra shit.
Damn, you went through a lot.
And I remember that time they hit me with a battery on a non-inmate, because he wasn't a Hura, he was like a green suitor, which is like not a Hura, you know? So I remember that happens, and they take me back, and I'm pissed off. I'm telling the homies like, yeah, for this just happened. Like, oh, what the fuck? So it was like I was pissed off. So I remember I'm doing the guy or whatever, right? So I remember one time we get a new homie, and he's from LA, and he gets there and he lands next to me in the cell next to me. So when he lands into the cell next to me, this fool's like, he starts like catting out, like he starts yelling like out of nowhere, like he would his name, he would call himself, and he would yell it out like loud, right? And I'm like, what the like, what's up with this? I'm like, hey homie, like you good? Like everything straight with you or what? And he'd be like, oh yeah. And he's just like, oh, shika out. I'm like, what? Like he would just walk away, and then I hear him on the phone because it's quiet. So I hear him on the phone, he'd be like, and he would just get on the phone and just say that. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong?
He
wasn't okay, so I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm gonna leave him alone. So when we do the workout, this fool ain't liking that shit. So he starts yelling like, shut the fuck up, we'll do it. I'm like, what? But like, I'm supposed to just keep going regardless if somebody's trying to up the thing. Yeah. We're just supposed to keep going. So I'm doing it. And then out of nowhere, like, boom, like all over me, just piss all over me. And I'm like, oh, what? Homie's like, what happened? I'm like, fool, you know what happened, dog? This dickhead. And homie's like, fool, don't trip, like, just kick it. And I'm like, fool, I'm like pissed off. So I'm in the cell, I'm bird bathing, I'm pissed. And then he does it again, but he tries to fucking shit on me though. So I'm like, you know, so the homie down the way, he's like, hey fool, like I have a whoop. So over there we can't come out like that unless we go to their room, but it's like rare. They always shut it down. So like, oh, we'll be able to like, we'll do like make a spear. So I remember I've always been artistic because I always like to write poems and shit like that. So I remember the homie would like, I was quick to learn of how he would make it, you know? So I remember, but I would try to do it a better way. So I remember I learned how to make them a newspaper. So I would get the newspaper and I'll roll it super tight. And I'll make sure it's real thick. And then I would spin line. I would get line and I'll spin it, right? From the lunch bags, I would pull the lunch bag apart, pull it, twist it, and it'll be a long line. So after that, I remember I would get it and I would wrap it around like piece by piece, like all the way till it's all covered in line, and it would be like real thick. So then I'll make another back part to the front, And I'll wrap it again, do the same thing, but with another small piece of newspaper. So it has a back part, and I'll put the banger right there. So when I would hit somebody, the banger wouldn't bounce back. So it's gonna hit somebody, you know? So I remember the homie started having me make those fucking the spears, and I was making the spears, and I remember I'm gonna, like, you know, so I started being cool with this fool, like playing the part, like, what's up, fool? You need a soap bar or something? He's like, yeah, I need a soap bar. Like, this fool was lost or whatever. I don't know what was going on with him, you know, like, I mean, I kind of feel bad now, but like, it is what it is, you know? He fucking threw shit on me, like, and I remember, I was playing it cool, and he would
crazy.
And right there, like, you would call it the sidebar. So you have the sidebar, right, which would be the person you could see when you talk to him. You have your bunkie and your sidebar. So I remember I'd be like, "Hey, sidebar," and he'd be like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Hey, fool, pull up." And he would trust me to where he would get close enough to put his ear on the side right here, and he'd be like, "Hey, like." No, tell me, "Hey, fool, whoop," and he'd be like, "All right," and I'm like, "Hey, here, fool, you need a soap, I need a shot of coffee, whatever you need." And I was playing it cool, and I wanted him to be cool like that, where he would be comfortable to put his face near the bars, you know. So I remember I had a small little like a spear, like half of one that I had broken, and I've had my banger on it, but it was a plastic banger. It wasn't because it was hard to get metal sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I had a plastic one. I remember I called him like, "Hey, sidebar." He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Hey, your soap bar what?" He's like, "Yeah, fool, I'm here." Show him the soap bar, and then I remember he's like, "Oh, what's up, fool?" I'm like, "What's up?" I was like, "Hey, fool, come here real quick. I need to tell you something, fool. Like, hey, fool, like, just between me and you though, you know, I don't want nobody here." So he's like going close, and he's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Hey, fool, like, hey." And he's like, I was like, "Can you hear me?" And I put my arm out, and I go like this, and I just hit him, boom. And I hit him, and he screams, like, "What the fuck?" So he starts yelling. And I'm like, you know, like, fuck, what I didn't really, like, I don't know if I really got him like that because it broke. So I remember I'm looking down, I put my hand out the bars, and I grab the piece that I broke, and I start getting everything, and I start sending the line to the homie, and he takes it away. And I'm right there, and I'm thinking, like, this is gonna, you know. And I had a little razor. I remember I had a little razor. So I'm like, "Hey, fool, like, Spencer, fool, you know." And this fool's like, this is crazy because he was so lost where he did it again, where he put his head by the bars. And I was like, "Hey, fool, just shake my hand, fool, like, we're gonna be cool." So I put my hand through the bars, and he shook my hand. And when he grabbed my hand, I sliced him with the razor. So when I sliced him, he bounced back, and that's when he started screaming like loud. And I remember he put his hands out the bars, and he was letting the blood drip down. And I could see, because where my bars were at, I could look down the tier. So I'm looking, the homie's like, "Fool, just don't even say shit, just kick it, you know?" So I'm like, "All right." Well, they always have like a psych that would walk by down the tier, because we're stuck 24 hours. So they would try to like talk to people. Obviously, we weren't going to talk to them. But the other race would like talk to him and shit. We weren't allowed to. So I remember he was walking down, and they're like, "What happened to you?" Because his head was bleeding a little bit, but his hand was like really bleeding, you know. So like, "What happened to you?" And he's just standing there like this with his hands out, and they're like, "What the fuck? Like, are you trying to hurt yourself, or what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm suicidal." And then fucking they're like, "All right," and they leave, boom. So when they leave, I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I look down at the sidebar, and he's right there. Now he's on his hands and knees, and like there's brown stuff on the floor, and this fool's like eating it. I don't know what it was. If it was like
the poop.
If it was poop, or if it was the coffee, or I don't know. I couldn't really tell. I was like, "Oh, what the?" I was like, "Oh," because it smelled already from his cell. It was smelling, especially because I had to clean my bars every time he would try to gas me and shit.
That is terrible.
Yeah, so I remember they come, and they get him, and they take him out, and it was like I was getting bad luck. I kept getting like neighbors that were just like fucking weirdos.
Not okay.
Yeah, so I remember like, he gets taken out, and I'm like right there. I'm like, damn, the homie, like, you know, gives me a little thing so I could take back there with me, like a little stuff like that to take back to the hole. And he's like, "Oh, fool, you're gonna probably go to the hole. You know, he's gonna tell on you." And he didn't. He never said shit. I think because he was like, you know, he wasn't all there, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's that I was put in that situation, you know. But I mean, like, I have to do what I have to do, you know. And but because some people are really not all there, you know, like the drugs takes over them, and they just it's just, you know.
Yeah. So what ended up happening? Because you got busted with the gun, you said, right? And this is you just still going to court.
Yeah, this is me going to court. So like, I'm just kind of like going to court, and I'm just like waving time. Like, I'm just waving time, and like I'm just running around. I'm too focused on just running around the county and just
got it.
You know.
So what ended up happening? How much did you end up doing?
Oh well, so that time I got I did like 2 years. I did like 2 years that time, but when I got sent this time, I ended up going to Pleasant Valley. So when I get sent to Pleasant Valley, that's when like oh no wait, that wasn't Pleasant Valley. No, I didn't go to Pleasant Valley. I was when I was with her. I went up going to Ironwood again. So when I went to Ironwood again, that's when I ran into a couple of homies, whatever. It was kind of laid back, everything was kick it. And I was just my time was right there, was running smooth. Nothing really was crazy.
Which was good.
Yeah, and everything everything was just chilling. You know, like I was kind of just kicking back. When I got back out, again, I was only out for like a month or so. And I got into another high-speed chase. And when I got into that high-speed chase, I ended up getting caught with a gun again. I go and that time I'm in high power again. I'm back in high power again, doing whatever I'm doing, running fucking...
Doing your thing.
Doing my thing, whatever. So
do your thug dizzle?
Yeah, my thug dizzle, yeah. So I'm doing my little thug dizzle. And then that time, though, was when, like, I kind of was like, fuck, you know? Like, I was getting kind of like... It was getting... to a point, because I had my lady, you know? Well, she wasn't even my lady at the time. She wasn't even my lady. She was like my friend, but like my lady.
You had somebody that you cared for.
Yeah, I had somebody I cared for, you know? And so the time was running smoother, but it was kind of still stressing me out because like I had somebody to talk to on the daily. And you know, like, but it was like, it was kind of a struggle because I was stuck in 3,500 in Fish Row for a while. And I was going through shit right there. People were gassing me again. Like I got spit in my face. They spit on my face when I was walking in showers, like in my mouth. Oh. And because they were like, good, we'll do it. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then I remember I was walking down the tier, and the homies always told us though, like, stay behind the red line, because if you don't, you're trying to like think, because fools talk shit about you, like, oh, you're scared to walk next to the bars because we can't do nothing. We can snatch you up and do shit like that or whatever. But so my dumbass is here. I'm walking and sure enough, like this fool's like, hey, and I'm like, what? And he spits and gets in my mouth, and I'm hot, and I'm like, oh, this mother. So I go to the shower and I'm pissed. Like those are the times it was like, man, this
bad shit was always happening to you.
Yeah, I was hating that shit. Those times in high power I was going through the most shit. Like not even like shit like that. It was just more of like nasty. Like how can you do it?
Like the people around.
Yeah,
next
the people.
to you.
Like it was just like like fuck. Like, and I was like, damn, these fools hate us that much to do that. Like to throw shit.
I think they're just so bored.
I don't know what it is. I really don't. I think it's like a hatred towards like, I think it's a hatred really, because to do some shit like that, you gotta hate them. Throw your own feces on somebody, like that shit's disgusting. Like to have, like to hold, I don't know.
No, I get it.
That shit's nasty. But I remember, so whatever. I ended up going to prison again for my high speed chase, and when I went to prison, I ended up going to Pleasant Valley, and when I went to Pleasant Valley, I was kind of like I was trying to work out and just be cool and just fuck, like I was
just do your time.
I was trying to do my time, because like if I just did my time, I was gonna be straight. But if I started like getting high and like getting,
what you need to do.
Yeah, I knew what I needed to do, and I remember that's when I got my GD. I remember because my lady, she was like, like we were talking and all that stuff, and like it kind of motivated me, like because I was gonna get 6 months taken off my sentence. So I'm like like I need to do this shit right. So I remember I did it. I ended up 6 months off. I ended up getting, because COVID happened. This one I remember COVID, and fucking people were catching COVID in the prison, and fucking it was getting all hectic. So we're like on lockdown type shit, and that time that shit was horrible too. The fucking lockdowns, and then we're like right before the COVID though. Like it was kind of like we're on lockdown already because we had just got into a riot. So it was like a little mini riot that happened inside the kitchen. So we weren't involved in it, but like it was our people. So they put us as aggressors. And
how was it bad for you for COVID?
It was bad because they put a limit on our soups. They put a limit on like soaps. Like, so we'll go to the store, we wouldn't be able to get all the shit we wanted. Like sometimes we'll get like 10 bags of beans because it's only like $6. In the county, it's like for bag of beans like $5. So like for 10 bags of beans, all that shit, like we couldn't do that because they were limiting everything. And it was because sometimes we wouldn't even have toilet paper because the fucking COs were taking toilet paper from the
home,
from the jail to fucking home,
Yeah, because
we'll see them do that, and we're like,
there was like no paper at Costco. Everybody was taking.
I don't understand that. I don't understand it though. Like, why is everybody taking toilet paper? They can make like, what are they gonna make out of all that toilet paper? Like, I don't.
We need it.
I didn't get it, but it was getting because our food was getting like the food was bullshit right there. So they were going through like a lawsuit because people were getting overweight. They were people were just trying to make money, so they were filing lawsuits on anything. You know, oh, I'm getting fat from the food, so they put everybody on a statewide diet. So our chicken would be like a little chicken, a salad, a frozen egg, and some bullshit. You know, and I was like hating it, but I didn't have like that store like that either.
Did you
like,
get COVID?
No, I didn't. I don't think. No, I mean, I got COVID in the county after when I went back again. Because I went back again, but after I got off from that time, but I didn't catch COVID. But it was just like it was sucks because we're stuck in the cell and we couldn't do shit, you know. And then like it was hard to get on the phone, like you know the phone shit. And then like I'm trying to call my lady and I can't.
No, you're stressing
out, you know. Yeah, stressing out. So. Whatever, but because of COVID, they start releasing people. They're starting to release people and shit. So I'm like, I gotta, because they did the first wave and it wasn't me. I'm like, you know, I just got 6 months off. Why the they not gonna, you know?
Yeah.
So whatever, I remember, they out of nowhere they just come and they tell me, you know, like I'm supposed to get released, and I was like, what the? So I finally get released, and you know, I'm with my lady, and she gets pregnant. And that time I went again, but I went in for another high speed chase with the car I just had got her. I remember I just got her a car, and I guess the lady, because it was like a whole story with that shit, but I don't even want to get into that shit. That shit had me pissed off. It just had me pissed off because I was like, I went to jail for nothing. Like I thought. I don't know why I was speeding off. I didn't have to speed.
You know, I feel like sometimes our brains are so set into like, we can't get arrested, we can't get caught. Like, bro, it's okay to pull over and here's my license. Like, it's okay. F these fools. They can't see me. You know what I'm saying? Here's my paperwork. What?
Yeah.
So we need to change that. We need to be able to be like, all right, you know what? You know, here's a license. Obviously, if you don't have it,
I don't have a license.
Drive. Like, you know what you're supposed to do, bro. Like, just follow instructions for like.
Well, now I do. I mean. I'm
not saying right. I'm just saying in general. Like, you know, just follow instructions for the time being that for you to get your shit right. You could.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know. So you go back to jail and you come back.
Yeah. So I remember that time. I was with my lady and she was pregnant, and I don't know. I forgot what happened, but I was just running around like. And I ended up going to jail. I go on a high-speed chase. And I jumped out the car when it was moving. So the car were smashing. And I remember I started like, the homies were telling me like, fool, if you just go on the wrong side of the road, like the Hudas will back off of you sometimes. So I'm thinking like, all right. So I remember I go on a high-speed chase, but I'm in, I think I was in Fontana or like Montclair, or I was somewhere out there. I forgot where. Why I was even out there. I think I got lost. I forgot how I got out there, but I'm smashing and I'm going the wrong side of the road. The Hudas, they're going the wrong side of the road, and the Hudas are coming towards me. So I'm like, what I do? So my cousin's in the back seat, and I'm just okay. So I remember, the car is going, and I just jump out the car while it's moving. Like boom, I kind of roll it, boom, and I start running. I jump the wall, and I'm gone. I take off, boom, and I'm hiding. Well, I don't know why the dumbass I walked out. I could have just stayed where I was at and I would have been good, but I walked out and the Hudas fucking beat me. And I remember I had a chain I had just got, and they took it. They beat the Fontana PD. Yeah, they beat the shit out of me, took all my shit. And that's when I go to West Valley. So I'm in West Valley, but because I have staff assaults in LA County, they want to put me into the black box over there. It's like Unit 5 or whatever. So they put me over there. So now it's like a whole different high power over there. It's like way different. So when I get there, I go over there, and sure enough, I start getting into shit. I get caught with a banger. So when they catch me with a banger, did they catch me with a banger at the time? No, I didn't get caught with a banger. I was okay. I was in Unit 5, and then I think I got caught with a banger. I went to the hole. So I go to the hole, and after I'm going to the hole, I did. I went to the hole, and I got caught with a 10-inch banger. And I remember I go to the hole, and I'm in the hole while my lady was. She was supposed to have the baby already, and I was supposed to get out a certain time. I forgot, something like that. I was supposed to get out a certain time, and it was supposed to be like before her birthday. I mean, before my son was supposed to be born, because we're 4 days apart. And because I went to the hole. So I remember I had the homie calling my lady, her homegirl, and she was giving birth, and I was like in the jail. I was in jail. I was in my cell. I was mad because I remember I was trying to stay out. I was trying to tell the hood, I was like, hey, let me just stay out because my lady's like literally like having the baby. Like, let me stay out. And the hoodas were like, nah, like, and I remember the huda even tried to tell me, he was like, hey, well, look, we got the people right here. They're people like psychologists or whatever. They're gonna be like psychiatric doctors or whatever, right? And they want to come into the high power unit and like scope us out. And if you can, try to do a scene for us. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like jump on the bars and act crazy, and we'll let you stay out to talk to you later. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Like,
oh my God.
Like, what the like, I'm not gonna do that, Sal, you know? So whatever, I go to the cell, my lady's having the baby and shit. And after she has a baby, I end up getting out on the 26th. So I get out, and that's when I have my son. So I kind of was looking at things. I try to look at things different, but I think I still wasn't ready yet, you know? So I think I got into it, my lady, and I busted again. And I go to back to LA County, and fuck, what did I get busted for that time? I forgot. What did I get busted for?
But you didn't go back to prison anymore.
No, yeah. Well, that time I went back again.
For the violation.
No. What did I get busted for that time, babe?
I think it was evading again.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah. So I got into another evading. So I get into another evading. I go on a high speed chase. And
you love high speed chases, huh?
Well, cause like I drive and I'm having shit on me, and like I'm driving around doing shit. So like,
Just
like
pull over, fool.
I don't know why.
I crashed in Victorville or something like that.
Oh yeah, that was that time. So that time was. This is when So that time I was like doing real bad, like, and I was up, and I was just doing the most out there, and I was just running around, just up, you know.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
And I remember I was in Victorville, and I was in a stolen car, and I'm driving. I remember I left the pad I was at, and when I'm leaving, the hoodas pull up behind me, and I'm like, I went on a high speed chase. But when I went on a high speed chase, I don't know Victorville, so like I'm just like in the desert trying to figure out where to go. So I remember I made a left. And I turned back around, and when I turned back around, I'm driving, like the huda like tried to hit me with his car. So I went into other cars and shit, and I crashed into these other cars, and I keep going. And I remember I hit the curb, and the tire pops, and I'm driving on the wrong side of the road
with the pop tire.
And the hudas are behind me, and the hudas are smashing. Like, they probably don't get crime out there, so they're just like, all the hudas are right there. So I jump out again when the car is moving. And when I jump out, I try to run. They catch me, and I remember that's when I felt that they got the knee and they put it on the back of my neck, me up. But what scared me is because like somebody got hurt, you know, and I remember the car pulls up and they're like, oh, they're like real hurt over there, you know, with the oops. So I'm just like, dog, like, you know, like I'm up, you know, like fuck. So whatever, I get busted, and I'm busting out Adelanto. In Adelanto, that's when I started like I got busted with drugs. So when I got busted with drugs, and there I go, I start pushing in there, doing my little thing, and
because you took him in.
Yeah, I took him in. So I had drugs on me, so now I'm getting high, up, doing all this shit, and I go to AdSig. They took me to AdSig because I threatened one of the hudas right there, and I was like, man, like, you know, with whoop. And I didn't even threaten him. I just said, fuck you with whoop. And he took that as a threat, and he took me to the AdSig. So when I'm in AdSig now, I get a Sally in AdSig. He had just did a removal. So we were both right there, and we're in the black boxes. And when we get right there, that's when it like, we get into it. We get in a fight. Boom, we get down. We exchange words.
You and your Sally.
Yeah, me and my Sally. So they come and take us out. When they take us out, after that they take us out, and what happens after that? So yeah, so after they take us out, whatever, I go to another AdSig. So when I'm in AdSig now, I'm right there and I'm by myself. So I'm like, you know, like I keep up. So then I'm getting pissed because like I'm like, my lady wasn't with me, and I was just like, you know, like I wasn't using the phone, so I started going through shit. I remember this is when I started doing cell extractions. So when I'm doing the cell extractions, that's when the hudas come with fucking SWAT gear, because I'm refusing to come out, or like,
oh my God.
I'll leave my tray slot open, I'll put my hands there, like, you know. So I started getting smarter with it, though. I started learning how to do it better. So the worst one was when I was with two other homies. They were in the other cell next to me, and they just got to the hole. And they started talking shit to the Huda. So I remember the Huda comes up to me like, hey, what's up with your little homies right here talking shit? Like, you guys know what time it is? And I'm like, don't trip. I was like, pop me out and I'll talk to him. So the Huda leaves. He comes back. And he's like, are you going to talk to him? I was like, yeah. So boom, he comes back and he lets me out, and I come talk to him. Hey, fool, like, you fellas know what time it is. Like, I'm gonna tell you guys how we could all pop out together, like how we're gonna do it. They're like, all right, with the whoop. So I'm in the cell. The next day comes Miss Gibson. She was right there. Miss Gibson, she's the one that handles everything, right? Like the door's opening. So when that's happening, I tell her, like, I press the button. I'm like, hey, miss, can you let me out for my showers, whatever. So I'm like, yeah. So she lets me out for my shower. I come out. Boom. The homies come out, and I tell the homies, hey, fool, look, one of you hide under the desk right now, and then you just go in your cell and tell me you want to, like, just go in your cell and press the button, tell him you want to lock it down. So he's like, all right. So the homie goes under the thing. These fools are like 19, 20 already. I'm like, what, 25 or 26, some shit. And I remember these fools go in the cell. He presses the button, tells them, they close the door. This fool's under the desk. They can't see him because that's a blind spot for the cameras. So I remember I pressed the button. I'm like, hey, miss, like, I left my soap dish out there. Like, can you let me out? And she's like, oh, yeah, hold up. They're going to do a walk right now. I was like, come on, miss. I'm trying to, like, do something. You know, she's like, okay, Espana, like, we're good, right? Like, you're not going to, you know, I'm like, I'm not doing no bullshit. She's like, all right, I'm going to let you out. I'm giving you your word. I'm like, yeah. So she opened the door, and I'm like, I tell her, fool, come out, fool. And then sure enough, she gets on the intercom, like, hey, like, lock it down. Like, because we're different security levels, and like, we're all supposed to be in different, you know. So he was like, oh shit. She's like, what the, like, lock it down. And I was like, nah, we ain't locking shit down. And then I was like, hey, tell her that to open the door so you go in. So I'm right there. He goes to the door. She opens it. So now all three of us are out in the thing. And she's like, what the? She's like, Espanol. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you, you know. Like, excuse my language, but I was like, I don't want to talk to you, you know. And she's like, oh yeah. I'm like, yeah. So I remember the sergeant comes. He gets to the door and he's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, we don't want to talk to you. Like, you guys won't have to come in here. And the homies were like, hey, fool, what are we doing? I was like, you fools want to call the Hudas and shit like that. So we're going to handle business. Like, this is how we're supposed to get down. Like, now we're going to put hands on these fools. And these fools are like, fool, like, I was like, fool, didn't you were talking all this shit behind the door? Like, we don't do that. That's not our get down. You know, like, you got to learn how to, you know, like, how to talk. So
that
like,
was the purpose of that.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, what the fuck? So I'm like, all right, you ready or what? So I remember I get the mop stick, and I crack it in half and I give it to him. And that fool's like, what's this for? I'm like, fool, because these fools are going to come in with the SRT gear, you know? So Spencer, this is called the Special Response Team or some shit, right? Yeah. So they're like, oh, they're gonna come in here, they have a shield, they're gonna come fuck us up, so get yours in. And they're like, nah, like, we ain't gonna do all that whoop. And I'm like, fool, like, regardless, we're gonna get right now, so might as well. And sure enough, fucking the Hudas come, and they're like trying to talk us out of it. What's going on? I'm like, fool, we don't want to talk to you. So the psych comes, and the two homies go up to the psych, hey, I need my pills. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, because they're in lower levels, so they're like they were like where the dorms are at. So like, they're just, you know, because the way the Hudas were manhandling them that I seen from when they were walking in, like, they were like probably barely starting. They were just like kind of like still, if we take our Hudas, we don't know what's gonna happen type shit. So yeah, I know how that feeling is. So they're probably just like, but I was already to the point like, man, you know, like, I'm gonna just
teach them.
Yeah. So whatever. They come, and the psych comes, and they try to do that. I'm like, nah, fool, ain't doing that. And they're like, oh shit, Spencer. So then boom, the other Huda comes, the sergeant's like, hey, look, I'm gonna give you one more chance. Like, either you're gonna do it or we're gonna have to go in there. And I'm like, come in here. But they can't, because I'm a high security risk, so they can't come in there. They have to spray, they have to put the phantom.
Oh, so you knew that you were
I already knew they were gonna come in. Okay, so I'm like, just whatever. So
you're just willing to take whatever, the bombs or whatever.
So I remember they come, and they had the hair clippers. They left the hair clippers right there, so I had the hair clippers with me. And I remember the homies had their door cracked, and they're hiding, and they're looking out like, what's up? And I'm like, fool, come out here. Like, you know? But when I had my back turned, time to come out here, they opened the tray slot and they pulled the pepper gun and they started shooting at me. So I'm like, oh shit. So I go into the cell with these fools and I'm like, oh, fuck that. So I'm like, get the mattress. So we get the mattress and I come out and I start coming out and I put the mattress near the fucking thing. And they're like, oh, you think it's smart with you? I tell the homie, hold it. So I come back and I remember I'm like, this shit. So I get the hair clippers and I launch it at the window and it breaks. And I don't know why I thought it was gonna break through or some shit didn't happen. So when I picked it up again and it cut my finger. Ooh. So I'm like, oh, what? And I remember because of that, it gave them a reason to come in because I'm physically hurt. Oh. So I'm bleeding. So like they have to come in. So whatever fucking the hoodas are like, oh, we're gonna come in. So they start spraying the gang in and they start spraying, and I'm like, oh fuck, like, you know? And so I remember we go into the cell and I'm like bleeding. I'm telling him like fool, like, you know, so I can't breathe. So what I told the homies to do, there's a vent on the top and you stand on top of the sink, and if the air is blowing out, you could breathe. So we will take turns. I'll tell homies take turns. So finally the homie closed the door. I'm like, what the you doing? So then the hoodas all finally came in because the door was closed. So now they came in. So this is how I got a big ass scar on my back. I have a big ass scar like that. It's a burn mark because so these fools come in and they had this big ass metal pole, right? And I'm like, what is that? Like, what the is that? And it's the hooda that was talking shit to these fools was right there with it, like happy though. Like, I'm like, what the is that? You know? So the homies are like, fool, what do we do? And they're like, hey, cuff up. And I'm like, we're like, we ain't cuffing up. So they open the tray slot and then the homies like, I'm gonna cuff up. And I'm like, nah, what the fuck you doing? He's like, what? And then they just put the thing in. It was a black tube. They put it in. And I'm looking at it, what the fuck is that? And I see the fool with the bomb. It's a black bomb. And he puts it in and it fucking goes and it just bounced on the floor in front of me, I remember. And I was like, oh shit. And I jumped on it with my back and it blew up on my back. It blew up on my back and hoodas come in. They go for me first because I'm knocked by the door. So when they come for me, they come with the shield and they smack me with it while I'm on the floor. And I remember one of the hoodas, he said he was like an MMA fighter. He ended up he was one of them that took me to the hospital.
He definitely used the moves on you?
He put his knee on my calf. Like, oh my God. He's like, hey, how did that feel? I remember he was joking around. And he said, how did that feel? And I was like, fool, that shit fucked me up. Because it was like, I don't know what, he knew what he was doing, you know? And he obviously did that. Yeah, so I was like, pain. And these fools are screaming. I'm just holding my hands in because I don't want them to grab my hands. I'm trying to protect myself, you know? Even though all the pain I'm feeling because they're smacking me with the shield, doing that, these fools are screaming, there, stop. I was disappointed in all this shit because I was like, man, these fools are being loud behind the door. And then when it came down to it, they weren't ready for that, you know? So I was like already pissed off. So they finally take us out. And I remember when they took me out, though, they dragged me out, like all my clothes was like my shit was coming off. So I was like, had no pants. And they took my underwear because my underwear was like some Calvin Kleins I snuck in. So they were like, oh yeah, like, so they took them from me and I was like, nothing. I was like, can you guys give me some clothes? You guys got hyenas right here. Like, you know, like, come on. Like, yeah, you know, and they're like, oh, weird. Yeah, you know, like, you know, like, and I was feeling weird, like, you know, and they were like, oh, like, we'll do that when we want. And they had me to this thing. I'm strapped in. I'm like, with my hands behind my back, and I'm just strapped in, and they start rolling me to a cell, and they roll me into the cell, and they leave me in there for a cool last minute, and they take me to another ad sig. So when I go into the other ad sig, that's when I start, I'm like really trying to do it. But I remember when I kept up.
Oh my God, but like, what is the purpose of you going through all this?
I didn't know. I honestly don't know. Like, I was just doing it out of like, I was just pissed the off a lot. Like, I was just like, I was in, you know, like, I don't know, like, I was just going
like
through
you're just
shit.
Like hurting yourself.
Yeah, like I was, but I don't know. And I remember the last time I did it was when I used both of my legs and had these big windows in the ad seg. And I broke it with my broke it. And when I broke it, they came in again, did their thing. And then that's when I stopped. Like, I just tried to chill because I started writing poems again. So I remember I started writing poems. And from poems, I tried to change them into rap songs and shit. And I started changing them to rap songs. And I remember I was like, let me see if I could rap to somebody right here. You know, so I remember there was a black dude right there. And I talked to him. And I was like, hey, like, can I show you some shit? Like, I just want to see how it sounds, you know? He's like, oh, yeah. So I remember I start rapping to him. And he's like, oh, yeah, that shit's cool. Like, fool, if you don't do nothing with it when you get out, like, up, you know? And I was like, man, I didn't think of it like as that. So I remember like most of my songs that are out now, like I've done it like where I was all my songs I've dropped or music videos or whatever, like I have done from
While you were in there.
when I was in there. Yeah, I wrote them and I just found a beat from them and it just fit and
Nice.
it sounded pretty good. And so whatever, I get out and I'm trying to do right, whatever, and I'm just trying to change, kind of, I go back a few other times, like, for
But
a little,
nothing like
nothing too serious, and then
But when you come out, you start doing your rap stuff.
yeah, that's when I start doing the rapping and shit. I start because I went to go get my face refinished because I had just got it in there, but it was just the line. So I remember I go to my homie's house, my cousin's house, and I do it, and he tells me, "Hey, fool, remember that song when you just got out? You're rapping, beating on your chest, like how you do it in jail. Remember, can you try to do it on the mic?" And I was like, nah. I was like, I don't think I would do all that, He's like, "Fool, just come and try." So I remember I go upstairs, and we start doing it, and I was feeling it, and it was just going. It was weird because I didn't really know the beat. We just picked a random beat off of YouTube. It was like a Mozzie type beat or some shit, and we did it, and I started rapping on the thing, and it just kind of like the beat dropped while I started rapping. It was like I felt it, Yeah. And I remember I just started rapping, and then.
But so rapping, maybe it's what's gonna work for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel
for,
it is
for yourself, for inside. Because obviously you like it, and if you want to continue, you have to be out.
Yeah.
Just like like your baby, if you want to continue like to be in his life, you gotta stay out.
Yeah.
And not be angry.
Yeah.
You have well, obviously there's probably many reasons to be angry, right? But it's unnecessary. I want to be angry every day. I want to be angry every day.
I want to be pissed off all the time too. Sometimes, yeah.
But you have to sit back and analyze, like, you know what? I'm free. I have my girl. She gets on my nerves probably every day, but that's what I want. I want her get on my nerves every day. Because that's what's beautiful. Like your son, he's cries. You want to hear that. Because when you're in there, you can hear that.
Yeah.
You got to go to work. Hi. Who wants to go to work? No one.
I know that's something hard getting used to.
But we have to do it.
Yeah.
Like this is my job. Do I want to do it? Yes, but no. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's just like a job, but it's not just a job. It's what keeps us going.
Yeah.
So I know that you've been out for a little bit already.
Yeah. Well, I just got out. Yeah.
This is probably like the longest time you've been out.
Yeah. I just literally got out like probably like maybe 2 months ago, but it was because I got busted for violation and.
But prior to that, how was what was?
Well, I ended up going to rehab.
Okay.
I got busted again, and they let me out but I had to go to like a program, whatever. So I went to rehab, did it, and then I was doing good. I started doing good, but then I fell off again.
It's okay to fall off.
I fell off, went back again, and then right now I'm like, I'm in a nonprofit organization that helps me, and they're kind of like backing me up on my past love, like as rapping and stuff like that. So. They're gonna help me with like, cause I wanna try to give back to the community as much as I can. I don't have the money for it. But I know I have a lot of homeboys that are helping me, whatever, and a lot of people like within the area that help out. So my main thing is I'm trying to I'm really trying to start my own little label, but that helps youngsters, cause there's a lot of youngsters that like are me. Whatever, like that are doing whatever they're doing, and it's kind of like they get caught up and they go to jail, and then like there's a talent that's just like taken away when they could start young. And because I'm only been doing it for like maybe 2 years now, and everybody's like messes with it, I guess, and I'm probably good to people. And if I could have wished I would have known earlier, because I would have probably been more excelled at it, probably been better. But I probably had to go through everything I went through to do what I'm doing now.
Exactly. And how do you feel now though? Like within you, like where you stand, like do you feel like do you get what I'm saying? Like let me find a word. Like do you feel where you're like, you know what? That's it. I don't want to go back.
I don't want to go back. I really don't want to go back.
Like what other times have you been out? Have you felt the way you feel right now?
Nah, I've been kind of just like it's been it's like literally routine. It was just like
now you don't feel that.
Nah, right now I feel like...
Try to keep that.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I told you this last time.
Yeah.
No matter what. Nothing matters. Nothing matters but you. Because if you don't put yourself first, music, everything else. Even her, not like that. You can't let nobody get into your skin because then you're going to be back. Because you matter, bro. You're the only one that matters. Yeah. You're the only one that could save yourself. You don't want your baby to be mad at you.
Nah.
You matter. So you take your little butt to work. You fight with her every day so that she could keep you out. And I mean that because if you don't get on her nerves, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just what it is. I fight with mine every day. Literally, like every day, about some stupid shit. You know, literally. But it's the beauty of life. You know?
Yeah.
You rather fight with her than go have some, but it try to throw poop at you.
Nah, yeah, no.
You know?
Yeah.
So you got this. You got this. Your music is good. You're very talented. And that's all you need is you, yourself, and your girl and your baby.
Yeah.
That's it. You know? Like, just focus on that. Take your ass to work every day. Are you on probation still?
Yeah,
right?
I'm on probation still.
Look, just go to work every day and rap your music until you get off paper. By the time you get off paper, you're not going to want to do anything else.
Nah, hell no. I'm not trying to go back. I really am not. Like, I don't want to go back.
And you're going to always have that feeling of getting high. It doesn't ever go away. I still have dreams, bro, and I've been clean for a long time. But you got to be stronger.
Yeah.
Because, you can't be a weak ass. Who the fuck?
Nah, no, I'm not. I'm not, though. I'm not.
Man,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm challenging. You know, it's a challenge, bro. It's a challenge.
It is. Because sometimes you get those thoughts, but I mean, like, where I'm working at now, it's like kind of like helps me with all that. But
which is great.
I'm taking it serious now. I'm not really like, before I wasn't really kind of, I was just like, whatever.
You got
but,
this.
Yeah.
I see you different.
Yeah.
Obviously, you are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. You know what? Do you want to say anything else before we go? Because we've been sitting here talking for a minute. I'm glad we have. It's okay though.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad you talked about it. I'm glad you got it out. You know, you almost even cried here.
I didn't even know you could even notice that, but yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's dope that you could be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. We're in the free world, baby. Like nothing matters, but you you walking straight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you
mandatory.
Got this.
Yeah.
You got this.
I guess, just shout out to all my team, Zace Hundo. Shout out to my lady. Shout out, to my family, my son. Everybody that's been helping me through everything I'm going through, helping me with music, showing up to my, doing everything. Helping me pretty much just without everybody that...
You got a lot of support.
Yeah, I got a lot of support, and everybody that's been listening to my music, I appreciate it, helps out a lot, I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're good. That's it.
Yeah.
You're good. Just stay focused. Continue to stay focused. Don't give up. No matter what.
No, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna do my thing. I already know.
Rappers stay rapping for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
That shit don't stop.
No, I know.
That shit don't stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I enjoy it though, because it really I love doing it. Like,
it's like
it's cool doing it. Like, I like to write a song and then I feel the song and it's like I like listening to my music and just it's cool. Like,
good.
That's why I really because my producer has helped me. Like, my producer, my connection with Zace Hundo is real. He's helping me make some good ass songs. I mean, they're not out yet because I still gotta figure out how to market them right and all that, so it comes out right. But I mean,
sometimes you just gotta let the out, fool.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like
sometimes you just gotta look. Talk to my husband. He'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Just let him out. Just what I just had an interview on my husband's channel, and he says he'll write 100 songs and put them on Spotify. All of them.
Yeah.
And whichever one does better, the people will tell you what they like. You grab that one and make a music video. Just put them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about.
Because you might like it, but we don't.
Yeah.
You gotta let the people tell you what.
Even if I don't like it, just let it out.
Just let it off. Obviously, you're gonna let them. I'm sure everything you write is okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Let the people tell you what they like.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here.
Okay. I hope you feel okay.
I'm all right. I'm feeling way better than last time. I don't know where I was. I don't know where my mind was at last time.
Well, I just mean in general. Like after us opening up and you opened up and you share some things. I just want to know that you're okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I just want to make sure I'm good.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you're good before you go outside.
Whoa, I was like, damn, I'm cool. I didn't say nothing wrong, right?
No, you're fine.
Yeah,
You're
all
fine.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram.